Hey everybody, and welcome back to another horror film lovers reviews. This is a little later. Usually I have them up on Wednesdays, but we got it up. It's on a Friday. Deal with it. But I'm host Jonathan Moody. I'm here with
John Ward.
John Ward, and we're here to talk about the Netflix I guess film, original film was
Knock at the Cabin.
no. But
No?
I'm guessing there's might be some similarities to that or something.
Oh,
But
that's
no.
probably why I got it confused.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's Leave the World Behind,
Oh,
starring two people who are very much known for now for being in Blumhouse movies, Kevin Bacon and Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke mostly, but Kevin Bacon's been showing up in a couple Blumhouse movies and stuff, and I'm just like two Blumhouse names in a movie that's not Blumhouse. Kind of
his
cool.
his stuff for this movie, Kevin Bacon was probably 2 days. He probably got a good amount of cash and
I
and
almost feel like it was
shot for two
one
days.
day. Like,
I mean, it could be. I would think that the store was on one day and then they filmed everything at the house the next day and
probably.
just kind of had like a laid back day and just shot and he was like, all right, bye Kevin, thanks dude, thank you, you'll get the and credit, thanks.
Yeah, you get the end credit, and you get to have one scene with Julia Roberts and then one scene with Ethan Hawke. And
I will say this, I am not a big Julia Roberts fan. I obviously like her niece much better, but I really liked her in this movie,
I
so
think, it was funny because a lot of people hate her in this movie. But I think they just hate the character. Like they hate who she is in the movie, which is exactly how she's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like
I
that is her character.
well, first let people know this is spoilers. We're going to talk about the whole
Spoilers, there's
movie.
going to be lots of spoilers.
The film is still pretty new, but we're going to get into spoilers here,
So if you
so
haven't seen the movie, go watch it on Netflix. It's yeah, you
yeah,
need
we
to
we
watch it. I feel like people need to watch this. I don't feel like this is a movie that people should just skip because and the problem is people are going to probably want to skip it because they see the Obama's name on it and everything, and they're going to think,
well,
oh, it's an agenda movie,
I have to be honest. When you said, "Hey, you need to see this," it looks crazy, and I had already watched actually right before you sent me that message. I had watched two videos of because I've pointed out to people I'm in the middle, so I do watch left and right stuff. That I watched two videos on the right that talked about how it's a woke, white hating a movie that's produced by Barack Hussein Obama, and that it's just, and they show, of course, the clip that they show when they're saying that is when the daughter, who in the book by the way is a 60-year-old wife,
oh, okay.
is yeah, they really changed a lot. And she says that, you shouldn't trust anybody, especially white people. And that's where I went, I ain't gonna watch this thing. And then when you watch it, because they've only seen the trailer, they don't understand why she says that.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that because Peter Berg, what the, not Peter Berg, Ethan Hawke,
He's like, wait, what?
Ethan Hawke, uh, um, just told her two lies. So
Right.
they're outside and they're actually having a good conversation and they're getting along and they're getting high basically, and he confesses to her what had just happened earlier with a Hispanic woman that he leaves on the side of the road when she's begging for help.
Mm-hmm.
He can't um uh he doesn't understand Spanish, so which a few of these videos that I recently watched, they do translate, and it is her begging for help. She's like, I'm lost. I don't know where I am. I need to get back to my family. Can I please use your phone? You're the only person I've seen. There's a plane. It looks like it's spreading like deadly pesticides. And so she's not being evil. She's actually, but he just can't understand her. And he tells that to the daughter. And she's like, oh, really? Well, since you're not confessing, now that you're confessing stuff, what about anything else? And then he brings up the ship that crashes on the beach, the oil rig. And it's after that is when she's downstairs with the dad. And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't really trust white people, because she's honest with them through the whole film up to that point, and he's just lied to her twice.
Wait,
So
when did he lie to her though?
that she considered that lying is when he came home. So when he was out on the road, of course, people have to see the film to know exactly what we're talking about, because we're going to obviously jump all over.
Yeah.
But when he's out on the road and he's trying to get back to town, and he finds the woman, the Hispanic woman, and then he gets lost and he comes back. He comes to the door and all of them are like, "What did you find?" And he's like, "Nothing.
Oh,
I
right.
just
Okay.
drove
Yeah.
around." And you could kind of see, because the camera's right on him, that he's not going to tell you about the Hispanic woman. And of course, the oil rig is not brought up at all.
The
Uh,
oil
um,
rig is not brought up. What the kids found in the shack that they found, they do not bring that up. And all of that is weird because like they have all this time with the family, and you would think like that's stuff that you would just talk about, period. But they never say anything.
you think that, yeah, like whatever you found, you might, yeah, you would want to bring up, and it wasn't. So I don't think that should have been part of the trailer. I think that probably turned a lot of people off, especially conservatives. And it's
Well,
the
maybe they
same.
didn't care like at that rate. Like, if you
I
don't want
mean,
to see it because you think it's woke, which
it's the same reason why I didn't want to see Blue Beetle, is when they said Batman is a fascist. Why? Because he's a white rich male. Why do I want to watch this movie then? I mean, so it's, but I don't know, maybe it's taken out of context, and maybe I should watch Blue Beetle, because
I've heard good things
maybe
about
there's
Blue
more
Beetle.
to
I
it.
don't know.
I've
But
heard it's just the same thing we've seen 100 times. There's just
so
nothing.
it's Spider-Man or something like,
Spider-Man, I for the trailer I took, it was more like Green Lantern.
uh,
So, but it's, you get all these people, and yeah, and of course having Barack and Michelle's name on there doesn't help any. So
I mean, it's weird that they're getting into films now, like they weren't really, I don't, unless it was like a documentary that I'd never heard of or something like that. I've never really seen their name on anything. And so, um, I, I I'm also one of those people that really doesn't like something that's very I don't know, like very I don't know how to describe it. Like if it's not very if it's very political and it's just one-sided, I typically don't like it because I'm not in the middle. I'm nothing. I'm no political thing at all. And everybody's like, if you're not political, that means you're conservative. And I'm like, no, it literally means I'm nothing. I'm like, I am not a political branch. Like I just don't. I'm not left, right, up, down, whatever. I'm nothing. I'm just absolutely I'm against politics a lot, because it's just because it becomes too polarizing and people one side hates the other side, and it's just not any fun like in this world. Like I just want life to go back to where we would talk about politics, but like people could just agree on shit. Now it's just like you can't even people just can't even like agree anymore. People have to like unfriend you over Facebook over politics and shit. So it's just
well,
ridiculous.
that's because, yeah, everything has changed. It used to be like back, let's say with Bush, it is, you would be, oh, who did you, we'll say W, who did you vote for? Oh, I voted for Bush. Oh, okay. And
Cool.
that was it.
Like, that's
That was
it.
it.
Like,
That's
yeah,
just,
okay.
you could probably have a little bit of a debate about the war and stuff like that, but it wouldn't get to where it is today. And now it's, and I think that has a lot to do with, of course, the media. It has a lot to do with the internet and Facebook
Which
and
this movie talks all about. That's what this movie's all about, and everything. And so I sort of like when I started watching this, I go, okay, this is actually sort of my style of kind of movie. You know what I mean? Like because it wasn't it didn't feel necessarily like they were pushing any agendas, which I feel like because people saw like the Obama's names on it, Barack and Michelle's, they thought all of a sudden it's all like pushing one specific, thing. And I really didn't think that was true.
No, I didn't think so either. And I'll say that I did like the movie. I like End of the World films. And unless they're really horrible Christian made into the movies that
Hey,
with
I
the
thought you liked
pandemic.
those too because you like Left Behind. Come on.
I love Left Behind, but I hate what was the one that you, Paul, and I did that was just
Oh yeah, but that
awful.
was that was made by like amateurs who don't have a
What was
clue
the
what
name
they're
of that
doing.
one?
2025 something,
That's it. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
The year of
the
the year of
plague.
the virus or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people can watch our review on that. But
Well,
it's
that's gonna be in a couple months, so not,
oh, okay. Well, then they could
that's
go watch it in a couple of months. But it's I never watched Mr. Robot, and I wanted
I
to, but
saw
I
a
just
couple episodes.
yeah, I never just really wanted to get into it. But what I found out is this does take place within the world of Mr. Robot. That
Well, there's a like a book that
well, there's a book that's on the side of the bed, and then the materials that Kevin Bacon is putting into his truck, all the survival stuff, is from Mr. Robot. Like
okay.
all those, yeah, all those like logos and everything. So he has based it in that same world, which I like. And then you have to take it as okay. So if it's based in, on Mr. Robot, then it's a fictional world. It's not our world,
Right.
but it is something that technically could happen. Like one of these, I did watch a video where it's primarily it's like a book review like channel, but she also does books to movies.
And
And so she
comparisons.
yeah, and she did this. She also compared it a lot to um, you know, uh Knock at the Cabin and Cabin at the Edge of the World, or Knock at the Door, Cabinet, whatever it's called. And because she said it was a lot like that. And she hated the book. She thought the book was horribly written. It just describing what the noise is took like 2 pages for the author to describe it. She put it up on screen. And she said just everything that you didn't like in the movie is worse in the book. But there are some scenes that are definitely not in the movie. Is one the black dad and daughter, they're still black, but they're in their like 60s and 70s. And
And
then
they own the house or whatever that she's renting
they own
from.
the house. And so the daughter is completely made up. And all the stuff with Tesla, I think, is a knock. That's not in the book.
Yeah, I think that like I felt like that was something that somebody did. Like I bet Mr. Robot, the guy, the creator just decided to throw in that because it is a technological hazard in a way. Like somebody hacks into Tesla, we could be screwed, Like
Yeah, I mean I mean Miranda Dudley, she had a car accident, and she got as a rental one of those self-driving cars, and she says it works absolutely perfectly. And I've said, well, I ain't getting in one because they've killed people.
mhm.
So it's
She might have had a good experience, but that doesn't mean like it'll always happen. Like there was that movie Upgrade, which had that like the
great movie.
self-driving car or whatever. And I absolutely love that because it scared the shit out of me. Made me think, oh crap, what if somebody hacked into, one of the self-driving cars and then, all of a sudden could control your car and could do whatever they wanted with you. And not saying somebody would want to do that with me, but like it can happen to people or something, possibly. I mean, so technology is scary right now,
Well, so let me ask you, who do you think caused this attack?
Um, so I listened to one of the videos. Um, I think it might have been another one I saw, or it might have been the one you showed me, you sent me, or whatever. But they talked about how uh that the basically, and I sort of agree with it. I didn't think about it until like somebody sort of pointed it out, but it felt like sort of like nobody was controlling anything at that particular moment, you know? And so sort of chaos happened, you know? Like, I don't know if there was necessarily a real cyber attack or if there was just problem. I don't know, I guess there was this sort of stuff because there was the flyers and all that. Um,
Well, I tend to think it was our government.
so
I
you
don't think
think
it
it
was.
was I don't think so. Not for the movie
I
because
because and people think I'm crazy for this, but I only have one conspiracy theory that I believe in, and I do believe our government caused 9/11. I am a 9/11 truther. I don't believe it was outside of the United States. I think that we did it. And I think that uh, with the amount of power that our government has to do good, there's way too much bad that happens.
mhm,
And that which is one reason why after you sent me the trailer for this, I sent you that trailer for Civil War,
mhm.
uh, because that's what everybody's talking about. All these Trump supporters are saying, MAGA are all saying, if he doesn't win, we're having a civil war.
You told me about
And
that, yeah.
yeah, and then there's this whole thing of Project 2025, which is about, keeping Trump in office permanently. There are, allegedly, supposedly they're already getting people in place that will, stand by him, and people are
2025 from that movie.
up. There you go. That, yeah,
Uh-oh.
that
Maybe
horrible
maybe
movie.
something's happening with that shit. I don't know.
Yeah,
That movie
and
was all
there's
about Christianity being illegal or some shit. So,
yeah, which was fucking stupid. But
yeah.
there's all this stuff that they're talking about, and I can believe that our government definitely did this to get us into that war, because they've said, even through like World War I, we like our government purposely sent a ship into waters, and it got into like German waters, and it got sunk. World War II would be Pearl Harbor, for to get into like Iraq and stuff. There was 9/11. So they said that America has our government has put us into positions to where we would want to be into war. So I do think that this was all on them. And I did take pictures on screen. Um, so the flyer that is dropped out from that drone that
Mhm.
I thought was even a plane doing pesticides, like some sort of deadly pesticide at first. So I definitely didn't blame Ethan Hawke from like trying to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, I thought I had no idea what it was. Like it didn't look like flyers to
No, and then
me.
we found out,
So,
yeah, that it's flyers hitting his car, and the son realizes that, from video games that he plays, that the front of it says, death to America. But people have translated what the back of that says, and it says, we ask you to pay immediate attention to what we say in this publication. We have the most dangerous and destructive explosives in history, and we leave this horrific fact to you to complicate and stress the fidelity of what is said. I'm using this on your land, and steps must be taken to stop the resistance built for peaceful surrender of your land. So, but they did point out, why would somebody write it in a different language instead of English if it was our country doing it? And I
well,
think, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that they
I think they
probably
would
would.
probably do it. Like just like they said, it's misinformation. That's part of the three things he said, that was gonna isolation, misinformation, and then like chaos or whatever, basically. Those are the
Yeah, I actually got that. The exact for it is, yeah, the first would be isolation, the second would be synchronized chaos,
which
and the
which is
third,
the misinformation and everything.
yeah, yeah, like having the guns pulled on each other, and then the third is the
Coup de
coup,
grace.
coup de grace. Yeah, that's the third one. So
And
it's
but see, I mean, we never see because everybody, well, I guess we could talk about the ending real quick. Once again, spoilers. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Where there's going to be a big spoiler, but at the end, they never actually, you know, we never see like other than we see nuclear bombs like hitting, New York or whatever at one point. We don't actually see anything else. We don't know what happens to these people. I would just imagine that they all stay to that bunker because they all are going to
So
go to that bunker.
I watched an interview with the director, who's the Mr. Robot guy,
No.
and he said when an interviewer asked, which I'm surprised he's answering these questions, because he says, well, it's all up into interpretation, but he answered it and he said that yes, they all do. They
You all
all
end up in the
because
bunker.
yeah, because the Julia Roberts character does see the house. And I went back and I was checking back and forth, like, does it have a red door? Does it not have a red door? And she sees that house. So probably after the bombs go off, they'll end up at that place. I hate Rose. Rose or Ruth? Who's the white young girl? Ruth?
No, Ruth is the girl, the
Ruth is the black girl.
black
So
girl.
Rose.
So,
I hated Rose. I
right.
hated her. I from the second I saw her, I don't know. I've never seen anything with this actress to my knowledge. I don't know if she has a permanent look of dumb on her face, like she's a friggin'
Probably
zombie.
not. I think that was probably part of her
Maybe it was
character.
maybe. And they said like she just turned 13, which would be Gen Z. And I thought back to the meme you sent me where it's like, millennials and boomers and they're yelling at each other. And it says Gen Z. And it's just like a teenager like crying and screaming. And then Gen X, and it's got, the cigar and the drink in one hand, just casually. And I thought that of her because this obsession, which is kind of in the book, but not really, the friends obsession is, I just thought, my God, how Gen Z this is, that you just don't give a shit about. And I know she's only 13, but it's like, you just don't give a shit about what is around you. You are so obsessed with this one thing that you have to get done. And you have to watch the ending of Friends, which, by the way, is called, which is one of the episodes in this. It's got
Yeah,
the
it's
same
called The
title, The
Last
Last
One.
One.
Yeah.
And the thing, and then at the very end, when she finds, she's in that house, she's got all that food spread out. And I thought, what a fucking little, you wasted all that food on yourself. You're
Yeah.
not going to go back and get your family. And she's like drinking water when they're filling up a frigging bathtub at one point to make sure that they have water to drink from. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh my, I hate this person. And then she goes downstairs into this beautiful bunker of course, where are the people that have this? And she flips on the lights and then she sees that there's DVDs, no Blu-rays, all DVDs. And she finds Friends and then she puts that last episode on and it's just that blue kind of TV tent and she just smiles.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's like, okay, so if we were to follow up 23 minutes later when the episode is done, or that might have been longer because it was a final episode. So we'll just say 60 minutes later. Would she be like, okay, I finally got to see my episode. I'm good. Now I'm going to go back and get my family to bring them down here. I
Probably
don't think
not.
so. I
I
don't
think she
think
would have
so.
stayed there and then her family would have showed up eventually and then she would have been with them. Because
I,
like,
I I just
you know,
hated her upset
I
because this whole thing with Friends is not original. I forget what it was, but there was a movie. I'm pretty sure it was a movie, not a show, where the girl was obsessed with Lost.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. It was this is 40, I want to say, or Knocked
yeah,
Up
yeah,
or
yeah,
one of
one of those.
those.
Yeah, and she
Yeah,
could
and
never get to watch the last episode
yeah, and
of
she was
that.
crying about it and she was like yelling at Paul Rudd like you guys are horrible people. You won't let me watch
Yeah,
my
the daughter.
Lost and
Yeah.
everything. And I was like, "Oh, what a teenager." Like the world is
and
horrible because she can't get to watch her show.
and I thought that she did it much better, which
Right. And
and
she wasn't as annoying on it, It's just
yeah,
she
Judd
was
Apatow's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Judd Apatow sort of knew, like I feel like that was a real thing,
I think a
that
lot of his
happened.
stuff like that is a
Yeah,
real
I feel
thing.
like
Yeah.
he put that in, like, because like at one point, his daughter was yelling at him about the fact that he's cheap, that they were telling her there was, she was watching the TV show too much, or whatever, and she had to stop.
Yeah, and this was just like I get her being bummed, but then when she's like, I care about them, and it's this obsession, and the brother who kind of seems indifferent to everything,
Oh,
it's
his
just like,
brother, her brother was so great. He had the shirt that said "Obey" on it from like
yeah,
"They Live," kind of
he just
thing, and
doesn't care.
yeah, he
It's
just
just like,
doesn't give a fuck.
yeah, I'm just going along with shit, and she just like won't leave him alone
All he
about
cares
it.
about is jerking off to the girl,
Yeah,
or whatever.
To Ruth.
To Ruth, yeah.
You see, there's two R's. The screenwriters shouldn't do that. You should have names with two
Yeah, that
letters.
close of people or whatever. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
I
they
realized that too with some of my scripts, like when I'd accidentally put like
it's
a B and
screenwriting
a B.
101.
Yeah, a B and a B, and then people are like, wait, we need to change that name because that just is
Because
weird.
what actors will do is especially these days is they'll put it into the computer and then they'll go through and look for their name or that letter to see how many times they have lines, and then somebody else's name will come up with it.
Right.
So it will say, yeah, like Rose Ruth, instead of just Rose.
Yeah.
So it's, but I couldn't stand her. I just thought that she to me just, I just,
I
wow, did I
And
not
then
like
she was
her?
looking at all the deer that just kept watching her, and I mean, at first I was just like, I mean, I live in the country area of the city. Like I live in the woods, so we see deer all the time. Deer, when you walk by and you see a deer, they'll do that deer in headlights thing where they just kind of stare at you and
Yeah.
then they run off, right? Now, this was a little weird because they just stared and they did not run
Well, and
off,
there were like 500 of them or
Yeah.
something. So at
Well, they
one
said
point,
100, but like that looked like 20 maybe, if even.
if you
And
look really closely at the screen, they kind of go like this up into the mountains.
okay,
Like they
I
go
didn't
really
notice it
high
that
up.
close.
There was, yeah, there were a lot of them, and I get that she's concerned about that. She's concerned about the boat.
Well, there was something, and we'll get back to the boat because I do want to talk about the boat. And but there was something that you had said before about uh coronavirus and stuff, that when coronavirus, I believe this is you who said this because I've
If
talked
it's
to a lot of people
intelligent, it was
about this.
probably me.
Yeah. So you said that when the coronavirus, when everybody was in their houses and isolating, nature started existing
I did
again
say
and
that.
people started going around and everything. And I feel like that was sort of what was shown a little bit. Like the birds
Yeah.
and nature started to notice that something was off because nobody was out doing all the things that they're normally doing. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, like deer are in huge troves instead of probably their family, which when she asks about the deer, she's a city girl, so she's not used to deer. But deers do travel in groups, but usually with their family, right? The little ones and the father and the mother and all that stuff. So, they're usually with their
Yeah.
whole family.
I mean, being from Marin County, I mean, deers are like dogs. I mean, they're everywhere. They're on the streets and all that. And you don't really even think about it. But it's
Hmm.
like we have there's Angel Island, which is in out in the bay, and you could take a ferry out to it. And it used to be like a military post, and now it's like all abandoned military buildings and stuff. And families go out there and have picnics, and they bicycle and hike. The deer have no reason to be scared of people because there's no hunting or anything. So the deers would walk right up to you, and you could
Nice.
pet them and stuff. They're not afraid of anybody. And so it definitely goes to show that we're the reason why animals are scared is
Well, I
because
mean, sadly, we
we
shoot a lot of them and
shoot them,
stuff.
hit them with cars, torture them, we do all this type of stuff. And it's so I don't even know if, because one of the videos I watched was about the deer, and they basically say that the deer um with the antlers, and you can see this in like the Hannibal TV series. You can see this in oh god, what was that? God, I just had it. True. What's the one with Woody Harrelson, the TV show True
Oh, True
Detective?
Detective.
Yeah, it's all about the antlers and its rebirth. So it's that the antlers are constantly being uh uh like the kind of like a snake, that they're like constantly peeling, and
Mm.
it's and so they're constantly like regrowing their antlers. And so some of these videos were talking about that it's about rebirth, which I thought was really kind of funny, because so then you have Rose, who decides to, after her experiences with the deer, just goes and watches Friends,
Yeah, because
which is
that's what
not in the
she's
book.
all
I don't
like
know if I
obsessed
said that,
about,
but
I mean, that's
well, and
sort of.
they added that, and they said that the song, and I'll say then with the other thing with the deer is when Julia Roberts and Ruth are at the cabin, the deer are all kind of surrounding it, and then like the male, that buck, comes up, and
Mm-hmm.
they scream and shoo them away. Another person had a theory that, of course, rebirth was brought in there, but also that this is kind of like Day of the Animals, is that it's like now we're taking over,
Mm-hmm.
and so
That's
they
what I
might have
kind of
been
thought
killed,
too
or
when I
maybe
saw it.
not.
I said, "Uh-oh, they're uprising." And everything, but uh they do these things in the movie because they'll cut from one to the next scene to the next, cut back and forth and back and forth. Between that scene and they went, to the Kevin Bacon stuff. And meanwhile, we have no idea where Rose is, like, or whatever. They're trying to find her, or whatever. So in that scene, when they cut back to her, because originally she was like, "Where's, what's her?" Like she was like looking for, and I thought she lost her. I lost Ruth. I thought Ruth had gone or something, disappeared. But then we saw that she was, in the middle of all those deer, and stuff and stuff. So then, of course, Julia Roberts had to come and help her by yelling at them or whatever, screaming at the top of her lungs, and it worked apparently, you know. Um, but I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
Oh,
I mean, I guess acting aggressively, so it's and I guess that the like Rose did say at one point in bed, she's like, I'm done waiting.
I didn't get
And
any of that,
I
honestly.
think that was to watch Friends. That's my thought. She was gonna go find a house that had friends,
Oh.
and so she left. She grabbed the
Oh my God,
bicycle,
I didn't even
and
think about that
yeah,
because
and
the
she
next
just
day
went,
she grabbed a bike and took off and
yeah, and she's like, screw this, I'm gonna go watch Friends. Which is funny, is because Friends isn't even on Netflix, but Friends is now being called culturally insensitive. And a lot of these, social justice warriors and woke people and all this type of stuff want Friends removed,
why?
because, well, one character was only black. It was Ross's girlfriend at the time, and
Okay.
she was only on like a season. There's like really no black characters. There's no gay characters. There's no trans characters.
I mean, I
They
thought for a long time, I thought, even though he liked Rachel or whatever, I always thought Gunther was gay, but
Who?
that was just, I don't
Oh,
know, like his
Gunther?
attitude.
No, I
Yeah.
never took. Yeah, I never took Gunther. I just took
I
it that
don't
he
know.
was
I just
obsessed with
always
her.
thought he just kind of came off. Maybe that was just me, but then he wasn't. He was obsessed with Rachel the whole time,
Oh
or
yeah, yeah.
whatever.
He did some kind of crying, like running off screen type stuff whenever she would date somebody new, and but it's one of those shows where it's um some of the stuff that was said, I guess, is now considered to be bad, and then of course you had Fat Monica, that is now looked at as bad, when Fat Monica was one of the greatest things on the show, and
I mean, I get
so
it. I get that. I get that. But then I'm like thinking, I mean, a lot of my friends who are not social justice warriors or anything, but they're a little, they're more toward the left or whatever. But and everything, they they'll tell me like that's just a part of the time period, sometimes you
You
just
can't
gotta.
get rid of everything. I mean, I don't like the Confederate flag and the South and all that, but really, are we just going to get rid of the Dukes of Hazzard?
I
Is that
mean,
it? Now we can't watch the Dukes of Hazzard anymore because there's a Confederate flag of the General Lee, and it's called the General Lee. Like, no, I mean, it just a lot of this stuff just doesn't make sense. Are we going to get rid of every movie and TV show where a maid or a butler is black? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Just make
wasn't
new
that like,
stuff.
weren't they like crying about Gone with the Wind or whatever,
Yeah,
and stuff? And
yeah,
I'm just like,
yeah.
it's a product of its time. And it was about that time. You can't rewrite history, History is history.
That's
That's just
yeah.
part of it.
I'm having a big problem with a lot of these like race swap things, and I like the TV show on HBO Julia about Julia Child, and her main producer is a young black woman, and I thought, for the time period, I don't know if that's really right. So I looked it up, and it's actually a group of like 5 women, all white, but it's primarily based on 2 white women, and they made the character into a young black woman.
I
So
mean,
this young black woman doesn't exist. So you have to look at the TV show as that it's complete fiction, because it doesn't work. So, but to kind of circle back to this, is a lot of these conservatives are calling it woke, and they're saying all this other stuff, and it's like, I don't know, when you see like movie studios getting hacked and all their emails are getting out there, I mean, this is stuff that could happen.
no, this is not like, I mean, even that one bit that everybody's calling is racist. Um, there was also the other racist moments with Julia Roberts where she wasn't racist, but really she wasn't trying to be racist. But was she? Was she not? Like,
She says that she hates everybody, and
right.
and I'm on her side. I
I think
hate
Paul's on
everybody.
her side too. Like,
Yeah, I think I was I
which I
was
don't think he'd
voting.
ever want to think he's on Julia Roberts' side because he's not a fan of hers, I don't think.
I'm on Julia Roberts' character's side. I mean,
Yeah.
I was definitely voting for the cyber terrorist to win here, but I don't know. Maybe, I mean, she makes the comments of, you know, are these 2 people the help? Like, is
Right.
she? Because
She
one
said
critic said that
like the butler and
the butler and the like
the
the
house
maid
the
or
maid or
housekeeper,
whatever,
and
housekeeper.
well, in one review I watched said that the daughter was like in her 20s.
Or
I'm
she
like,
didn't say house. She didn't say butler. She said, what was the she said something like mechanic or something in the house, like, but anyway, yeah, she thought those two
the
were.
equivalent of like a butler or something like that. Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's even the age of the daughter of Ruth. I thought was weird. It's because they're saying, like I said, this review said like, oh yeah, she's in her 20s, and I'm like, no, she's like 17. How
She
she
looked
doesn't
young,
look
but I think she was
she doesn't look
supposed to
20
be
at
in her 20s.
all.
She doesn't look 20, but she was actually, because she talked about how she was still trying to figure out her stuff, which I don't think she would have said if she were just graduating high school.
Okay,
She
so
was,
maybe say she's 20,
yeah,
not
she's,
not in her 20s.
I don't
She's like
know.
20. She probably
She could have
got out
been
of high
21,
school.
22, but I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
The girl
She's
looks young, period. The girl who plays her, I can't I can't pronounce her name. It's like,
and she does the thing I hate when actors go by one name.
yeah, well,
Like,
I
you're not
mean,
friggin' Madonna or Cher. Just stop.
uh,
You're so annoying. But you can't
that
have a
doesn't
last
bother
name.
me at all. I
Oh my
mean,
god, I hate that. It's so pretentious. But she
um,
but she even comes off as
Mahala, I want to say it.
something like that. Yeah.
Mala, uh, Mahala, I guess, because which that sounds like Hawaiian, but no, she was born in 1996, so wow, she's almost 30.
She certainly
Actress.
doesn't. Does she have Benjamin Button disease? I mean,
She looked young, which is great.
she looks like
Like, look,
17 to me, maybe
I
18.
know that is, hey, look, good for her. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Man, I hope. when I'm 50, I look like I'm 40, you know, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
No,
but
we're white. We won't.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm already starting
Black
to
people have that
go.
thing with age. They can be 60 and still look 30. I mean,
Denzel
it's
Washington, man, he is.
yeah, look at that guy. I mean, you
I
could
mean,
swear he's never aged a day in his
he's like a
life.
vampire. It's like him and Tom
Yeah.
Cruise and all these guys. I think they're all part of some kind of vampire cult, you know?
Sign some sort of contract. So
Yeah.
but she comes off to me as like a freaking sociopath because she's talking to the dad, to Ethan Hawke. They're having a great time because you kind of look at it as she's more pent up and angry, so she hangs out with like the black dad who's more like a business guy and the numbers. And then Ethan Hawke's character seems to be more easygoing.
Like
I
laid
mean,
back, yeah.
he's got a bikini kill shirt on. I mean, if that doesn't tell you something right there. So it's
Uh,
that this guy is so ultra feminist that, and I even thought that he was kind of cucked because he let her do everything. She told him to do everything.
yeah,
And that she was more of the man of the house than
he
he
was more of
was.
a simp, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And so when him and Ruth are having this discussion, she all of a sudden just asks him, "Have you ever fucked one of your students?" And it wasn't "Have you slept?" It's "Have you fucked one of your students?" And he like he coughs up because he's smoking pot, and he's like, "What?"
Like, why
And
would
then
you
she
ask me that? Like,
yeah, and then
and
she goes back to the dad, who she's kind of sleeping in a weird position in the bed on, which I thought was kind of strange for father daughter, which is why in the trailer I thought maybe it was his wife.
young wife, very
Yeah, or
young
like a
wife.
girlfriend or something. And she goes, she talks about each person, and then she goes to Ethan Hawke's character and goes, "Oh yeah, he definitely wanted to fuck me." And he goes, "But he's not that type of guy, but he definitely wanted to fuck me." And her dad says nothing. It's like you're just as nuts as Julia Roberts is. You're
Oh
this
yeah,
young, angry black girl, and you're going up against an older, angry white woman.
yeah.
You're
That's
the
why
same
like
freaking thing.
there were so many great scenes involving both Julia Roberts and her, you know, together because they were both like the electricity, you know, and the other two guys were like the fathers were very like sort of more laid back, more kind of, you know, like they got each other. You know what I mean? Like when Ethan Hawke first hears that this guy says I'm the owner of the house, he automatically is like, "Hey, come on into your house," you know,
Right.
right? Without even asking for ID or whatever. But here's my question, because I thought about it, and I've never seen any review or anything about it, but he never shows his ID because he says his ID was lost. What if he's not? What if that's not really his house?
That's why I did later we see that there is the reason why he doesn't put any pictures out is because he doesn't want to know the people who are renting the house know that he's black. So he has his office, which we only see once, has all the black photos in it. So
Mhm.
if they're so concerned, why not just take Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke to that room?
You know what? Julia Roberts would just go, "Oh, he planted all that stuff there, like somehow before they showed
I don't
up."
know. I mean, to a point. I mean, I've seen enough horror movies to where I might be suspicious.
Oh, I mean,
To if
and
somebody knocks on my door, I've seen the strangers. If
once
somebody knocks,
again, it doesn't matter the color. It's the idea, I don't think she was really thinking. Now, there was a little bit, there was a little bit contrast. I bet she was there. See, and that's the big problem. And that with our society, period, is we generally do notice the color of everybody's skin, or whatever. So and treat people differently for that, and that sucks. And we shouldn't do that. And I agree with every, woke propaganda about that kind of stuff. Like we should not. No, everybody should be treated equally as a citizen of, of America,
but people
and
make that their identity, so it's hard not to.
When if nobody did that, I think we would have but the problem is you'd have to get both sides to not
I mean,
make that.
if I walked into Walmart and my whole identity is I'm white, I'm male, oh, that person who's black went in front of me because I'm white, I'm male, and that's all it is, then you can't really look beyond that. But if somebody is, and that's what I think a lot of issues with Hollywood movies are these days is um what did I just watch? Creed 3. Creed's wife from movie 1 on has had a hearing problem. And in each film her hearing gets worse. So she has to use hearing aids. They learn sign language. Their daughter is like in part 3 is completely deaf and but what his wife does is she's a musician. She's a songwriter, a musician. She records her own music. She's a singer. That her being deaf affects her character. It's not her character. She doesn't go around going, oh, because I'm deaf, that's why you didn't help me at the supermarket. But then you get stuff where there are movies out there where that's all it is, oh, you didn't help me because I only have one leg. Is that it? And that's the entire identity through the entire movie.
Which is funny
Is
because
that
if you go in the real world, people don't act like that generally, like if
there are some. I mean, you work enough retail, you're going to come across those people. I don't think necessarily the Julia Roberts and the Ruth character are that, but Julia Roberts definitely plays that character plays into it. So I do think that there's a little bit of racism coming from her because I did see some videos did put in when she goes, I don't feel comfortable with having, and she pauses for a second, they would insert somebody going, black man, and it's pretty obvious of what she was about to say. But
mhm.
I would also, if it were white or black or whatever, if somebody just knocked on my door at 12 at night and I didn't see or hear a car, I would probably be like, yeah, I don't really want you to stay here. You can't even prove who you are. Because as I'm sure in that office, there's probably a picture of the dad, the mom, the daughter, but he never takes them over there.
No, either he didn't think about it or because they just for some reason they just accept at the right after that like it's okay
I wouldn't if somebody knocked on my door and went, "This is my apartment." I don't think I'd be like, "Oh yeah, hey, come on in, make yourself comfortable." And then I love how Rose goes, I can't believe they sleep upstairs and we sleep downstairs in the basement. That basement was beautiful.
that basement
That
was not a basement,
that
it felt
that
like
was a
another
house.
apartment,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that goes along with
I
my
mean it
my
even had like a shower in that, like I've never seen a basement with a shower before, so like that
no. And
I
it's that's and they actually could have been safe in there for a while, I would
I
think, if they
know.
probably just went downstairs, kind of like Night of the Living Dead, be upstairs until you got to go downstairs. But it's like that again shows that I think all of this kind of focus is going on Julia Roberts as this racist when this daughter is just like a spoiled sociopath brat who obviously doesn't know what she has. But she just got back from the Philharmonica. Really? Really? I could barely afford to go see a play at a high school. I mean, it's like, what a brat. I think that she's actually worse than Julia Roberts.
A little bit. So, but you say Rosie is or Rose is the worst, So it probably goes in your opinion, Rose, Ruth, Julia Roberts, the brother, then the two dads probably are tied,
Yeah, the dad, the and I can't pronounce his name either, Blade, he reminded me of Miracle Mile, that
Ah.
movie, where I'm blanking on his name. Anthony Edwards picks up the phone and the guy's like panicking, saying it's the end of the world. He kind of
Huh.
reminded me of him, of that type of scenario that he may even know a lot more than what he's actually saying. So
Mm-hmm.
There's other things like I loved how this was directed. Um,
People are complaining about. I saw this one dude on my post that I wrote about it saying the cinematography was bad. What?
oh hell no!
The
When they,
cinematography was the
I
best part of the
loved it
movie.
when all of a sudden the camera does this.
Yeah, no, that reminds me of
I
like
thought that
James
was
Wan shit,
awesome.
or
And
whatever.
it all has meaning. Everything in those angles has a meaning, and it's the animals all have a meaning. The painting that's in the living room changes 3 times out of the 5 parts, and it gets more chaotic. Like the first painting that we see in the living room, it's 4 like long blocks or
Hmm.
squares, and then it gets a little more chaotic in the next painting, and then it gets really chaotic in the third. They also, what other ones? There's another one that changes. The bedroom that Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke are in, the ocean starts down here, and then another time it's up here, and it's a little
Yeah,
more
there's a lot
wavy.
of detail in
Yeah,
this
and then it's
movie.
way up here on the third time, and that's through each thing. Is that it keeps getting higher. Blue is a main color. Blue in this, even though I look at it as cold, especially if you look at it with like James Cameron and Michael Mann, it's very cold.
Hmm.
I always picture like Alaska, like the water and the blue water and the ice. It's just cold. But here it's meant to be more safe. And then
Right.
yellow is another color. Red is a big color. Blue is very big because if you watch everything they do, everything is blue. The original apartment, the wall is blue. Julie
Mm.
Roberts is wearing blue. The outside of the apartment is blue. When they're on the beach, stuff is blue. Everything is blue. It's all blue. And
Well, it was
then,
safe until the tanker, came. I fucking dude, that scene was my favorite, and I don't even remember it being in the trailer. I think it probably was, but I think it was so great that I did watch the trailer to see what it was about, and a little bit, and then I forgot what happened, basically or whatever. Like I forgot scenes in the trailer. And then the tanker scene where the big fucking boat's just like rah, going up there. At first she's just like, "Oh, that looks like a really big boat back there out
yeah,
there." And then it gets closer. And she's like, "Is it supposed to get this close?" And like, "Oh, it's okay. It's gonna, it's
it's going to
supposed to
turn.
stop."
Yeah, it's
It's
going to do
supposed to
something.
stop, and then it doesn't, and it just keeps coming. They're like, "Never mind, let's move,"
Yeah,
right? And I just thought that was such a great scene because that's terrifying. That's almost like a Jaws style like scare, like what the hell is going
well,
on here?
you don't think, and that's why everybody's kind of watching it and recording it on their phone because you're never expecting it to come up on shore.
Right.
And
You're like,
it doesn't
oh,
get that far, but it's enough to where it could kill somebody. That's for
well,
sure.
it would have like the way I saw it, it looked like it would have like pierced them like right then and there, would have went right through them because it was
Yeah,
heading
they were kind of
straight for
right
them.
there.
Uh,
Yeah,
then the airplane that flies and just crashes, and like the explosion happens, and dude, his GH is so lucky because he holds on to that one area and he did
well,
not
he
die.
must have no peripheral view at all because he goes down and he only sees the watch. And then once he picks up the arm, then his peripheral view will go, which is completely done for the camera, it's done for the
Right.
audience. And then he sees all that wreckage. But as one of the reviews pointed out, is that where planes are crashing? Because why would another one crash exactly right there unless it was programmed to crash in the same spot? So I also liked, and like I said, I took pictures of stuff. So like there's 5 parts to this. So and it
I
there you go,
can't
like
read
that.
it.
So you can see, yeah, part one is the house, and you see a picture of the house. Uh Part two is the curve,
Hmm.
which is when we get the Blade is talking about uh like the how they deal with money and stuff like that, stock
Hmm.
markets and moving stuff around. Part three is the noise, which is in red.
That
So
noise was insane, man. Um, uh, do you think it was that microwave thing that they were talking about? The
I
like,
mean, it could be. I don't even know if it, because then the son, his teeth start falling out. you
Yeah,
know,
because
and they said that,
and Kevin Bacon said that that happened to that one person in that thing,
yeah, but
but
of
then
course he
why did it
also did
happen to
get stung
anybody
by the
else?
right, but he also got stung by that bug, and which was
Yeah.
kind of big and oozy, and he kind of like had to pull it out of his leg.
So I think he got stung by the bug. I think that was what did
I
the
think the
thing to
bug
their
did
teeth.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. And but
Um,
that's even scarier, you know.
yeah, then part 4 is the flood, which is all in blue, and then part 5 is the last one, which just has a couple of people sitting. Um, there's also the White Lion, the boat that goes up on shore.
Hmm.
That name even means something of like lions and pride and stuff like that. So that is obviously there for a reason. Friends, yeah, of course, Friends is. They said that the theme song for Friends at the very end means that. So the director was very positive in that friends will help you. So in the end, we will help each other,
Hmm. Like
and
in
that
the
was the
end, we will stick up for each other and
yeah,
we
like how
won't,
all the friends helped each other. The song is saying, "I'll be there for you."
but you know, here's the problem with that was the one friend of his was Kevin Bacon, you know, was Ali's friend was Kevin Bacon who he had I mean I guess he worked for him but they still were very good, you know, they were friends, they liked each other, you know, or whatever, they had no problems. And then he's like I don't you know I don't care about anybody but my own family and that's it. I'm not,
Well,
you
yeah,
know,
times have changed. Well,
I'm not
plus
helping you.
Kevin Bacon's character was hired to do a job, so I think that like whole basement and stuff was that was all him.
Oh, that was
And
the place he lived
I
probably.
that yeah, that was his. That was like the construction thing that he did. So that's how they know each other. But I mean, people build these bunkers and buy all this stuff not to feed their neighbors. They do it to feed themselves. If I was like John Goodman from, you know, oh crap, what's the Cloverfield, 20
Hmm.
Cloverfield Lane? That place was huge. Fuck no, would I have people in there? That's me. I would be in there. I may let one other person in there to have company, but that's the whole point of these bunkers is for the family. It's for it's not. And even though these reviews did say, oh yeah, Kevin Bacon eventually helped him, he still had to pay him $1,000.
Right, he didn't help him for free.
Right. And
No.
what pills? The kid takes the blue pills, but what pills? Like
Ah,
we
and
don't
blue,
know
they're
what
blue, which means they're safe.
they're damn, look at you. I mean, the guy's teeth are falling out. Does Kevin Bacon have
Falling out
pills for
teeth, I don't know.
yeah,
It didn't like that's a dentist thing. That's not a pill's not gonna save you from that shit. It's something that you may need to get fucking
yeah, maybe
dentures and
it's an
shit.
antibiotic and it might help for a while, but eventually all that stuff's gonna have to come out,
Yeah, you're gonna have to
you
get like
know.
dentures and shit or
I
something.
mean, he
But
did tell them about the, you know, about that guy's inside bunker, which is kind of screwed up. I mean, obviously the guy built that in his house for his family. And then you got
I
people telling them.
I do wonder because you said this is like in the Mr. Robot universe. Do you think this was like a tryout pilot for a potential series?
One review did say that they would like to see it as a series.
I've seen a lot of people actually say that on comments and stuff, and say like they wish this was a series that
So this is
this.
kind of like a 2 hour and 18-minute pilot. And then from here,
That's what I
we'll,
like because sometimes they do that kind of stuff. They kind of test to see what people think about this. It probably wouldn't star Julia Roberts or whatever, but it might be like in the same universe as like after all that happened. You know, would they do that? I don't think so.
well,
I would
yeah, instead of New York, you just move it to LA.
Right,
You know,
because
you just
it
have a
is happening
completely,
everywhere because the White House was even in danger. That one little thing said the White House was in danger and stuff, and so this was, you know, this wasn't just New York. This was happening everywhere.
well,
And
and it matters. One person pointed out in one of these videos, they said it can't be us because they're attacking the White House. And it's like, oh, really? Remember January 6th? Really? So it matters who's in the White House. if this is supposed to happen when Biden is in the White House, because it never gives a date, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of people friggin' storming that White House
Yeah.
because they're going to, they're going to take it over.
Yep. I mean, it's chaos right then and there. And what's one of the safest places to go? Probably the White House.
Well,
People
now it
probably,
has a giant fence around it thanks to Trump. Um,
yeah,
and then then they pointed out also scenes like this where it's inside the house is the white couple, which is very bright. On the other side of the door is the black couple, which is very dark. So there's certain framing that the director did obviously on purpose, which I loved. I thought that was awesome.
yeah,
Um, and it's then they pointed out also all the racist stuff that's in the area. So Ethan Hawke drives past the sign that's, what is it, Tanny Farms,
yeah.
and that's from Chief Justice Roger B. Taney, who was a massive racist and said that black people could not become citizens. So there's that thrown in there, obviously not by mistake.
Yeah, a
um
lot of this stuff was like, especially to show off kind of the differences between the two families and stuff, and the because like if you think about it, that's interesting because that's where the the two mother the father and daughter live, you know.
I love
So,
that house. God, do I love that house.
oh yeah.
That house is so nice. Yeah, and I took this one because he has the bikini kill shirt on. And then there's the cyber attack across the country. I took a picture of that. Yeah, then they go to Blade goes to the neighbor's house that's destroyed where the plane crash happened, and then the second one happened. That is supposed to be Huxley,
Oh
uh,
yeah, yeah.
um, Adonis,
Which was funny
Huxley.
because you know what my brain went to?
The same thing as mine, I bet.
Yeah, Bill Cosby, the
Yeah,
Cosby Show, the
that's how.
Huxleys,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, that's a weird name.
Yeah, I'm
And
like,
and of
are
course,
they trying to throw in Bill Cosby jokes? And
I
then no,
hope
apparently
not.
it was not. So that's
No, it's spelled
interesting.
differently too. But it's he wrote like Brave New World. And so he's, one of these, guys who wrote stuff like, 1984 and Earth Abides, and there's all these, kind of end of the world,
Yeah, there's a lot of
type
into
of
the
stuff.
world kind of references and shit that.
Here's that thing from Cuba long before Havana syndrome. The U.S. reported microwaves beamed at an embassy. That's from NPR. So that's an actual report from NPR. Isolation. And there's the ending with everything blowing up, which I friggin' love. Um, White House and major cities under attack by rogue armed forces, which I tend to think is like the Proud Boys and all the same people who
Yeah.
did Jan 6. And now the food locker that was in
Mm-hmm.
the basement there, what was pointed out in one of these videos is this is all racist food.
Uh-huh.
It's all food's been removed. So like Aunt Jemima is in here, cream of wheat, all these things that have now been rebranded. They even brought up an orange juice, Indian orange, which has an Indian, like a Native American, or Chinese cherry, which has big buck teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So all the product that's in here is all, like, for the most part, is all racist food.
Yeah. Well, it was funny because you would think like that was made perfectly fine because like this bunker's probably been down here. Nobody's been in the bunker for years, so they probably got those things when that time period where it was allowed.
I
But
mean,
like,
story wise,
yeah,
yeah,
story wise,
I think behind the scenes, it's, hey, let's get as
right.
much
Well, no,
racist
but
food
see,
as we
yeah, that
can.
was that was a directing thing of like let's put that in there as far as like so it would make sense. And that's details like, that they were pretty sure that this is all like these are all racist, you know, and ones that are, not just rebranded, but are just sort of canceled, in our culture.
Yeah. Oh, well, one of them in there, this was the last one I took, is a for pasta, and I've actually bought this pasta. It's that Barnelli or Barnella. I think it is Barnella, and it's pasta Barnella boycotted after CEO's homophobic remarks.
Hmm.
So that's in there too. So obvious. So yeah, I mean, it's there's obviously a message that's trying to be sent by the filmmakers, but I don't think that it's like what conservatives think that it is, because I even watched a couple of reviews where they looked at that Civil War trailer and they're like, oh yeah, I bet Trump's the villain. I bet, it's conservatives. I bet it's the Proud Boys. But I bet Antifa is not going to show up. I bet, Black Lives Matter aren't going to be in there. And they were saying all this stuff. I love who the president is in that trailer, which is Nick Offerfield
Yeah,
from
I
Parks
know
and
that.
Recreation. Yeah, I love that he's the president, and I don't know if he is supposed to be like a Trump type president or not, but I think that's great casting, is having him as president.
Awesome.
So
But yeah,
it's
I love that in this movie they don't talk about that. They don't even say the president's name. They don't mention that stuff. It's all sort of in a world where you have no idea what time
it
it
makes it a little more
is.
timeless. You could watch
Yeah.
this, yeah, 3 years from now, and you can, like, right now I could say, oh yeah, it's probably Obama that they're not Obama, but Biden who's in office.
Yeah,
And then in a couple of
but maybe
years,
it's
it's
not.
who's, yeah,
Yeah.
it could be a different, or it could just be no name president, just some unknown,
Yeah,
President
exactly.
Smith or something is in there. So, but it's yeah, it's I like these type of movies. I've liked some of these that they do say are woke, but I don't think they are. Like, what was it? Don't worry, honey.
Oh, don't worry, darling.
Don't worry, darling. I really like that. I thought it was well
I've never
directed and well
seen it, but
written.
I watched the pitch video for it, which was probably not a good thing. But I kind of was like, I kind of just had no real interest in seeing it right now, so I just watched
It's
it. And
you got to kind of let a lot of stuff. It's basically Stepford Wives, but
I would
it's
like to see the pitch video for this if they do one, if he
oh, as
does
I'm
one.
sure he will.
I mean, this is a big movie. Like this was because I never even heard of this before Netflix just released it, and everything. And that's what Netflix does. They're very known for not promoting for like a lot, like they don't promote a lot, and then all of a sudden they just kind of use word of mouth, you know, to kind of do it. And that's what happened with this is everybody was fucking talking about it. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie everybody keeps talking about? And that's Netflix's thing. That's what makes them so good at that, is they get everybody, one person watches, and then all of a sudden, bam, it's off to the races, and people are talking about it. Becomes a trending. It's probably going to be the number one trending thing next week, fit movie next week. Because
Yeah, they do stuff that I do want to see, and they do stuff that I find to be absolutely irresponsible. So
they do.
it's
I mean, and
just like this big pharma movie that they have coming out where they replaced 3 white people with 1 black woman. And so now anybody who watches the friggin' thing is going to think that this 1 black woman took on big pharma and won, and it's a true story. They've even shown pictures of the 2 men and 1 woman who fought and won. So Netflix is taking away their glory just to pander. I mean, it doesn't seem to, that's what I don't like.
yeah, well, you know,
Black Cleopatra, all that time. But then they do something like this or Bird Box, and I'm on
yeah.
board.
So I mean, they're hit or miss, I guess, on things. I mean, it. I
I
don't know.
mean, this
I
does have a
just
little bit of an agenda. I mean, when you do look at some stuff, there is a little bit of a left agenda to it. I mean, you
right,
don't put a whole pantry full of racist food for no reason.
right, but like they don't do it like they do it subtly. It's not in your face stuff.
I wouldn't have even noticed it if a review video didn't point it out. And that's where I got
Right,
those
and I don't
pictures is
think a lot of other
they
people
zoomed.
notice that either. Period. And nor, I mean, nor did that bother people. Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like. I don't think so.
That stuff still doesn't bother me. It's just, it's like white people are the ones who have a problem with this type of stuff, and that's why white people have to stop. I don't care if I have something that says Aunt Jemima on it or not. I don't give a crap. I
Mm.
just want my syrup, and I know it's a good product, so that's why I buy that. You know, just any Uncle Ben's rice is awesome. I don't care if it has a black dude on it or not. I just want to eat good food. So
I don't
either
even
take it
know why
off or
that's
put.
why that's I don't know why that's bad.
It's
Should have
because white people have to do this with everything, and it's and where they just don't let, like what was it, the Indians, if the football team, am I getting that right, because I don't
the
know
Redskins
sports, the Redskins, where it was white people who protested against the Redskins, and
and
then
it
people
became
were,
the Commanders.
well, yeah, but what people were saying is, why don't you let Native Americans decide? Like, why
Yeah.
are white people protesting this? Like,
Mm.
what
I
what are
didn't
we trying to
protest
make
it. I
up
never
for?
thought about it. It
I didn't
is
give a
it
crap.
is it is, racist, but I never thought of it like that, or whatever. And it's been such a thing for so long, but yeah, I mean, they just need a better name than Commanders. Like that's
That's
terrible.
a pretty lame name.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
But
I mean,
yeah,
just let the people that something might be aimed at. Speedy Gonzalez. I shouldn't be the one to dictate if we have Speedy Gonzalez in a cartoon again. Let the Mexican community be that. Bugs Bunny dresses up like a woman all the time.
I
Who
thought that the
cares?
Aunt Jemima thing would have been African Americans would have freaked out about that, or whatever, because she was sort of like that was sort of a racist, character,
But I don't think people cared. The only people I heard about were from white people. I didn't really hear anything.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and,
maybe.
and if you do find racist, then don't buy it. And then eventually they would have to replace it anyways. Just don't buy it. Buy a different type of syrup or something.
I don't know.
So
So yeah,
it
I mean,
I mean, it's the same thing with Netflix. If you don't like what Netflix is selling, don't
don't watch it.
subscribe.
Yeah, don't subscribe. Don't,
Yeah,
you know, leave.
if you're watching a video that where a black girl says don't trust white people, I don't know if that's a good thing to put into the trailer, but because it definitely turned me off, because I would have never watched this movie if you had said, you asked if we wanted to review it, because I'm tired of the white bashing. It's like, I'm not that person. I'm just a guy who's trying to just live my life. I'm not a rapist. I'm so tired of all these movies portraying white guys that way, that it's like, that's such a small majority of people.
I
Like,
mean, but
for
that is a majority of people. There are people, but yeah, you're right. Absolutely. And what is it? And we talked about that, which people get to listen to in the Black Christmas one. We talked a little bit about that and stuff, which is funny because this movie was not like woke like that movie, like that was not
No, and
feminist.
and
It
in
was
in
not
fact, Julia Roberts and Blade were probably going to hook up.
yeah, that kind of
They, they
that
did
kind of
that
worried me
horrible
for a second because I really
dancing.
liked Ethan Hawke, and I
Julia
did not.
Roberts with her
Yeah.
weird Halloween dancing. I don't know what she was doing. It had to be improv in a joke. It had to be. But
A lot of people are
yeah,
saying like it was weird that like Julia Roberts' character was listening to R&B, which I don't see her character doing that. I absolutely don't. But she
I
apparently,
because she's probably not as racist as everybody thinks she is. She might just, you know, she's racist, but she's not Ku Klux Klan racist.
right.
And once she got to know him, he's just like a guy.
But I think she was listening to like R&B in the car when she was coming back from the
Yeah,
stuff. So I mean, whatever. Like,
her character is confusing because she says one thing and then does something else, and they
oh,
clash.
my by the way, my favorite character in the whole movie is Kevin Bacon. Just, just even those only two scenes in that movie, and one of them he doesn't even speak. Just he was so good, and I really liked him, and I'm like, every movie should just have Kevin Bacon just show up for two scenes and and it would make the movie better. He's such, in a way, in my opinion, he's somewhat like underrated. A lot of people
Yeah.
just don't talk about Kevin Bacon like anything. He used to be overrated in a way. Like he used to be where they'd have that Kevin Bacon game and shit like that and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, the 6 degrees of
Six
Kevin
Degrees
Bacon.
of Kevin Bacon, and he used to be all over the place. Then he kind of just disappeared for a little bit. I think he made like maybe one or two movies,
I think
every other,
he's respected enough and liked enough to where he can just now do a movie like the little scenes from time to time. He's kind of like John Ritter, but with big Hollywood movies. How
right.
like John Ritter was like the most respected independent film actor up until his death. I mean, everybody loved John Ritter. And I think that's the same thing with Kevin Bacon is
Hmm.
everybody loves Kevin Bacon. And now he can just do those occasional flicks. He's it's just like, okay, why not? Yeah, I'll play a racist. I'm not. And it's fun to play something I'm not.
I don't know if you've seen the
Or
Guardians of the
not
Gal.
racist, but survivalist.
Have you seen the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special with Kevin Bacon?
What company made?
Disney, like
There you go.
Marvel.
My answer to
Well,
that is no.
anyway, James Gunn is one of the best things that ever happened to Marvel.
No,
So
he's not.
whatever.
He is not. Yeah, him and his brother. Awesome.
Anyway.
Nepotism. Awesome.
Oh man, whatever. He's been doing that since he began. But Romeo and Juliet had his brother in it, so don't even whatever. His brother's a great actor. Watch Gilmore
Great.
Girls if you want to see a really good
Great.
role from him. But
Gregory
anyway,
Peck is great.
no,
Orson Welles is
Gregory
great.
Peck and Orson Welles are excellent, great, and almost perfect. I'm talking great, which is there are. I think Sean Gunn is a great actor, whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, Kevin
I mean,
Bacon
he
has a
did play
great
Weasel,
like
so and I
part
like
in it.
Weasel.
Has a fantastic part in the Guardians of the Galaxy thing where he's just like kidnapped and brought to this like planet or whatever by the Guardians, and it's so funny. And Chris Pratt was like, "What the f is going on here? You can't kidnap a human being." Like,
I'll watch him in X-Men First Class, and I'll watch him get a quarter through the head. I'll do that.
That's right. He wasn't that, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'll watch that. So
Because I keep forgetting about that, but yeah, he was. My favorite thing was when he did the crazy. What was that movie? Steve Carell. The Crazy Love or whatever, something Crazy Love or whatever. Anyway, he just one scene at the end of the movie, just everybody started fighting each other. Ryan Gosling and uh everybody just fighting each other. Just funniest. I never laughed so hard in my life when I first saw that. Yeah. Anyway,
okay, but there you go. Well,
but yeah,
I just like how Kevin Bacon didn't do anything. How it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang at my house. I got my shotgun, I got my supplies. Daughter up in the window,
yeah.
uh,
He's just gonna hang in
I'm
his house for the rest of his life. I
yeah,
guess.
he's got his little sign that says no soliciting and his American flag out, private
But
property. It's like, if you're gonna come battle with me, battle with me. I'm not gonna go hide in a bunker.
so my question is, okay, so say there were attacks. Like, what do you think? Like
Wait,
you asked me before who I thought was
tax?
behind it.
Oh,
There's
a
cyber
tax.
attacks. The cyber
Okay.
attacks.
I'm sorry, I thought you said tax, like
No,
taxes. Okay.
no, no, not taxes. But there were cyber attacks, and stuff. And there's the whole movie, everything like all of a sudden there was nuclear war, and everything like that. What what do you think the aftermath is gonna be? Like after that? Like is society gonna be able to come back from that? Or because I
No.
guarantee you lots of people died in this. Like the human population is
Well, and look how close they were to those bombs. The radiation will kill them.
yeah.
Anybody who's in, I think, like, what is it, like 50 miles is going
So
to
you
be
think they all
dead.
just died?
Yeah, unless they got into the bunker
Well, I
like
think they
really
got into
fast.
bunker.
Like all of them would have to get into that bunker like ASAP.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because if you think about what would have happened next, this is my theory of what would have happened next. You hear Julia Roberts is calling for her daughter while the daughter is going downstairs because if you look at the captions, there's actually, a low her yelling, Rose's name or whatever. And then Rose goes in the bunker, down in the bunker and watches Friends. I think Julia Roberts would have showed up with Ruth. They would have looked for her. They would have gone down to the bunker and found their daughter. Their daughter would have been like, "Oh, hi, I'm finishing up my show. Whatever, right? Don't
Yeah, because there's
disturb me,
something
you
mentally
know."
wrong with me. Yeah.
You know. Then the two fathers and the brother would have shown up, but they would have gone to the house first. They wouldn't have gone straight to that other house that
Right.
had the bunker because they wouldn't have thought because he said he was going to come back to see her in an hour and both of their alarms went off and everything, right? And so he would have gone
Oh,
straight
those
to the
never went
house,
off. Yeah.
realized that they're not there, and then would have had to go looking for them go find the bunker. And they probably could have died. Those guys would have probably died from
I
the
mean, yeah, the brother's teeth coming out might have been from radiation.
maybe.
Maybe it was the
They're seeing
start of that.
he leaves it open-ended so you can decide what you think is the cause of everything, or whatnot. And I think that was brilliant because if it makes it more a conversation than it makes it like if he had told you everything, like
No, you don't want that. You don't, just like a zombie movie. You don't want to know why it started. You
right.
don't. That's some do obviously, but you want that mystery of, like, there's a God, I worked this at a movie theater. I was an usher, called Testament.
Hmm.
William Devane is the father, and it takes place in Santa Rosa, Sacramento. I think maybe Sacramento, something like
Okay.
that. And I think it's Sacramento. And the dad has to go to San Francisco, and on that same day, that's when all the bombs are launched. And of course,
Oh
San
wow.
Francisco is like one of the number one areas. And he dies, but the radiation poisoning just keeps expanding, and it's a drama. And the family has to cope with the poison, and slowly everybody dies, and it's like horrible deaths, and people pooping on themselves and urinating, and it's a great, really sad film. I mean, even as an usher, I saw it like 20 times, and I was still cheering up at the end. And but we never find out who launched it, why they launched it, because once it hit, all electricity and everything went out. And this is, obviously before the internet and all that stuff. So it was just radio, and all that just all went out. So you have no idea. And that was the scary part. Who did it?
So here's the thing, you know, to talk about. In the movie Contagion, right? There is a virus that gets unleashed by China. We see it's like caused by bat or whatever, at the end of the
It's
Contagion
caused by
spoiler.
Gwyneth Paltrow, which I think is one of the greatest things ever. Is
Yeah,
that Gwyneth Paltrow almost destroys the whole planet.
and that's kind of funny. But yeah, so I didn't watch Contagion until after the coronavirus, but then I was like, holy shit, this like
It was the,
predicted.
it was the same. It was very close to being the same.
Yeah, it was pretty much it predicted what was going to happen to the coronavirus and everything and stuff. And I thought, wow, that's fucking crazy. And I talked to somebody, this is gonna make me sound like a nut, I guess, because I talked to somebody who was a former military girl, and we talked about Contagion and how Contagion was very similar. And she said, "Oh yeah, Hollywood makes movies about stuff that they are preparing you for." And I go, "What?" And she goes, it's from the military. Military knows this, and stuff like that. I'm like, should I know this information? Like, am I,
No, no,
yeah,
there were reports that for like 9/11, our government was running simulations to see
yeah.
if the planes would hit properly and how the buildings would fall, and
So it makes me wonder if this is something that we should prepare for, you
I
know?
think it could happen because cyber attacks do happen. They're just on a smaller scale. So why can't they happen on a bigger scale? And we never knew if it happened overseas. We just knew this was an American thing.
Right. We just
So
knew that
it could
America
be.
was under attack in this movie. So yeah,
Yeah.
it could be everywhere's being under attack and everything because they don't ever mention the world or whatever is under attack. It's they keep saying the word invasion though, and stuff, which it could have possibly already been an invasion because somebody had to launch those drones, somebody from, you know, this whatever.
That's
So
why I think it's our government is they sent drones to different parts of the country and they put out those pamphlets and or leaflets that are some are in Chinese, some are in Korean, some are in, Iran, from Iraq or whatever, and they're just giving us all this false information to make it seem like another country is destroying us.
yeah.
Because
It's
somebody
crazy.
somebody has to be manning it. They got to be sitting at their little thing, flying the drone. So I can't. I mean, I guess it could be from overseas, but I don't think so. I think this whole thing was from our government.
Yeah. I mean,
And
this
and like
post
like Miracle
potential.
Mile, remember the it was all about getting certain people onto that helicopter. Is that's why the guy was calling, and the wrong person picked it up because they knew, like, you, dude, this is happening. We got
Hmm.
to, you got to get out of here.
That's just yeah. I mean, I don't know. So I'm this movie is one of those things where I think that because of where we are in this world and that the idea of civil war is always apparent. When I was living in LA, I lived in Pasadena area with a friend, but I used to live in Van Nuys, you know? Van Nuys was like, was people were attacking each other in Van Nuys. Like if there was reports all over and like right down the street I was living on, there were protesters that were being attacked, like physically attacked by other people, and stuff. And I was like, this is nuts. Like we need to like calm the F down. Like, and we need
Mm-mm.
I'm not saying we need peace, or whatever, because that's not gonna necessarily happen, but we just need to chill, like, against each
It's
other.
it's not going to happen. That's why all of these sci-fi authors are from the 40s and the 50s have predicted all this. And yeah, granted, we're not in 1984. Doesn't mean that it's still not going to happen. It could be 2024.
No.
Or 3051, or when something like that happens. But it could. I mean, I make jokes that I think a zombie attack will happen, that zombies will be out there at some point, and people laugh at me, and I'm like, no, not like George Romero zombies, but you could have a virus that gets out there and starts killing people. And I mean, people were already doing those what
We
is
saw
that
we
drug
saw
that was
that
in
one that
Florida?
we saw that one virus movie, Viral, where everybody they weren't zombies necessarily, but they were not. They were like that little thing in the head or whatever,
Yeah, that like little worm
the
thing.
little worm
Yeah,
thing.
the
And
spaghetti
so
thing.
yeah, I mean, that was more sci-fi-ish, I guess, not, whatever, but like that was scary that pe they could turn people, like people could turn into something like if somebody got sick. Um, the one of the other greatest movies about that is like fucking Cabin Fever, where the person gets sick and everybody's like, "We're locking you away. Like you're not getting anywhere near us. We don't
Yeah,
want what you have." And
that's what I would have done with the son in this. I would have been like, no way, fuck you. You're gonna
because
go
you could
sit
be
in a closet.
contagious, and I don't want to lose my teeth.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, look. Plus, he puked on that really nice carpet. That carpet was probably expensive. So it's like, no, you're going to puke in like the tub or something, because there's probably at
Well,
least
I
two
mean,
bathrooms there.
when he puked on I don't think he was planning on puking on the thing,
Then he should
and
clean it. He should go and get
I
it dry clean because that's an
go get it
expensive.
dry cleaned.
Yeah.
I don't know if the dry cleaners are open anymore at
I mean,
this
I just,
rate.
I think that something like this could happen. I think, especially with cyber terrorism, I think that you could have the stand. Okay, it's not going to be God versus the devil, but you could have a disease, a virus that goes across the country and kills a lot of people, and some are immune and some aren't, and some will want democracy and some will want more of a dictatorship, and you will have these wars. Why wouldn't you? What The road warrior isn't that far off from being true.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're fighting for gas, and it's just like these things could happen. I think this is pretty realistic, as
Except
far as
we're
that
not going to be
goes.
fighting for Teslas in this movie. So
No, I can live without a Tesla.
I could too. Was that Elon Musk? Didn't he do Tesla? Did he not? What car did he create or whatever?
That's Tesla, isn't it?
Tesla. Okay. That's what I
Yeah, it's
thought,
Tesla.
but I wasn't sure. I don't really care much about Musk, but I'm like, thank you, Musk, for that must be like that's almost like a fuck you to Elon Musk. I wonder what he's thought of this
Oh,
movie,
that's what I thought. I wondered how they could actually. I mean, you're only seeing the back of the cars and they're all white, but the little paper license plate does say Tesla.
Yeah. Oh, there are
So
definitely Teslas, and they're all talking about that to me, so it's trying to show you that this is a bad idea and shit like that. But then again, that's what everybody's pushing is like driverless and then and gasless cars and all this other shit when just, you know, like just be normal, be like a regular fucking society, please. Just stay the way you were, man. Stop
no, it's
changing.
not going to happen. I mean, look at something like the Jetsons when you have these flying cars. Can you
I've been
imagine
talking
the
about
amount
that.
of
That would be amazing. He should be.
Yeah, but look at the deaths that would happen. I mean, with just all around with you would have probably like every other car would smash
Well, it
into
was
each other and
interesting
kill
in that
everybody.
because I did rewatch the Jetsons recently. Like I watched the pilot to it. And like things were like floating in the air, like people were at like bus stops or whatever, but they were like floating in the air, and I'm like, so, I, like what? Like, is like the Earth now like a different like gravity thing or something? Like some can float and some, like what is going on here? So like it really wouldn't work the way, but Blade Runner showed it and it nobody crashed into each other. Star Wars Attack of the Clones had the flying car stuff, and
Well,
everything.
because it's probably not realistic. I mean, especially with like Star Wars, with the amount of crap that Lucas threw up there on the screen,
where
there
where
had to
people
be a
would
car
just
hitting
would
each.
drop down and then just fall right on the right, car and stuff. And I'm like,
Why wouldn't they get?
can
Yeah, why
Jedi's
why wouldn't
really?
Anakin be impaled? I mean,
Yeah, I think what would have happened in real life would be he dropped down, try to do that, and then another car would go like smack.
I
That's
mean, at
that's
least
almost like a
something
Family Guy episode,
like Star Trek with the transporter. It did screw up. I mean, you did have people die in it. It
Well,
didn't always work. So
well,
you did take that risk.
yeah, and with the Spaceballs, he turned, his head was on backwards,
Oh yeah.
or
Why didn't
was
somebody tell me my ass was this big?
yeah, that's one of the greatest scenes of the movie. It's like, I'll just walk. He like walks right outside. He didn't even need the beaming or whatever thing. And then what's the other one that did that like sort of joke on the beaming? Oh, the Fly, the David Cronenberg one where he's trying to create a
Yeah, and this one
beaming
little
thing,
fly.
and then
Yeah,
he
the
yeah
transporter.
transporter and it got mixed up with the
I should have
Fly and he
teleporter. It was the
teleporter
telepods.
teleporter.
Telepods.
Which
Yeah.
I was always wondering, like, wouldn't that fucking be cool if you could go from one teleport area and go into something else? But I'm like, you would literally have to like I don't know what you'd have to do in order to do that,
It'd have to
you
be
know?
absolutely sterile, and you would have to be, because they did that in the original Fly movies. The third one, Curse of the Fly, is that it's teleportation from like America to the UK,
Hmm.
and every time they do it, it messes up.
Oh
So it makes
God,
like some mutant thing, and they can't get it right
that's
because it's
funny.
just there's just too much going on in between. So it's and those are extreme, but I think doing some sort of hacking job and
Well,
getting into
when you say like,
systems.
getting, flying cars or whatever and stuff, and we look at that and that's sort of what we wish like we had, you know what I mean? We're probably never gonna get that.
No,
It's too
no.
dangerous, it's too scary, it just it you would have to literally work like an airplane thing and it just doesn't work, for that thing because you'd have to make sure you don't get hit by an airplane, or whatever. You don't fly toward an airplane. You don't all these other things. Back to the Future, where we're going, we don't need roads. Yeah, dude. I'm sorry, but
You kind of
2015
do.
we still needed roads, it never got there, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. I'm sorry. Um, though I did like their idea of the pizza where you put the little pizza in and then it just
Oh yeah.
like the 30 seconds or a couple seconds later it's a big ass
Which
pizza.
is a little bit where you put the pizza in and it rises and it's got like the stuffing. It does kind of go from like this to this.
Yeah. I
So
mean, but
it's a little there's some stuff like Star Trek pretty much created the cell phone. So there
I
are
mean
little things
there are
that,
little things that can happen
yeah,
that are in these
but I don't
sci-fi
think we would
things.
ever have a flying car. No
But
way, no
this
way. People can't
movie
drive on a street.
But this movie was the most realistic of that kind of stuff. And and people might be like, why is this on Horror Film Lovers? It's not a horror film, it's a thriller. It's not a thriller, it's a fucking horror film. Sorry, Julia Roberts, who probably wants an Oscar for this movie. This is a horror film. Like you cannot tell me that this is a straight up thriller without having the horror aspects. There are really scary moments in the movie, kind of terrifying because of how realistic it felt, like this,
War
you know,
Games, the movie
yeah,
War Games. That was like in the 80s.
yep, that's a sort of horror.
Yeah. Well, anything like that, like the original Alien is considered to be a haunted house movie. Um,
Silence of the Lambs is a
is
horror
a, is
film.
a, is a horror film. The Terminator, the original Terminator, is considered a slasher movie.
Yeah, it's a slasher movie. Jaws
So
is a slasher movie, you
so
know.
it's yeah. So not all sci-fi is sci-fi.
All right.
That it's just there are. I did see one video that did call it a horror movie, but I don't think they proved it very well. But
But
it's
I think it has like terrifying moments enough where it can be a horror film,
yeah,
But
I don't think warnings are bad. If you want to make a movie that takes place 100 years in the future and a war, THX 1138 or something, that this is what our world could become if we, you know, don't watch what our government does, that
mhm.
we're going to take away democracy and make it into this dystopian, dictatorship.
Are we going to get rid
So
of Christianity? That's the big question.
I would like to. I'd like to get rid of all religion, actually.
Yeah, well, you're an
So
atheist, so of course you think that. Right
because
there.
because Christianity is still the worst. It's still the worst one out there. I mean, nothing has lasted as long as the Crusades. So which was like a few hundred years.
Right.
I think it was 300 years. And that was just all, do you believe in
Wasn't
Christ?
there a
No, I'm a
something,
Muslim. Oh, you're well off with your head.
was that the 300-year war? Is that what they call it? There's something year war. Yeah.
It might be because it went throughout all of Europe, and if you didn't believe, you were murdered. You were just killed.
Hmm. Well,
So
there you go.
it's yeah, it's I did this is fast. I did come up with an idea for a short film where a guy is walking out in the desert and he looks down and there's like something shiny and he digs it up and it's a metal box. And inside of it is a copy of The Stand. And this is like 1,000 years in the future. And there is no religion, there is no nothing. It's just a loving, perfect society. And he opens it up, and there's like a hardback version of The Stand. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he takes it back, and they analyze it, and they go, this is what our history was. This is what happened to us. There was good, this figure God, and then there was this guy, the devil, Randall Flagg. And look how thick this is. It must be true. Look how it's written. And they look at the back, and they see a picture of Stephen King, and they look at him now as Moses, because he's now brought them the commandments of The Stand. And now life has become The Stand, where people have taken good and bad, and they're using what's within The Stand to now govern their lives. And this perfect society is now destroyed because one guy found a book. And that book could technically be the Bible. But in my story, it's Stephen King's The Stand. So there you go. Kind of falls into what we're talking about.
Be careful, though. Remember, you've had people take your ideas. So nobody take that, or he will sue you.
It's already copyrighted.
So there you go. But yeah, so anyway, it was this movie was a lot of fun. I was I was a little surprised because yeah, once I saw the Obama's name, I just almost a little turned off, just because I felt like there would be a little bit of I mean, there would be too much, agenda in it. And really there was agenda, but it wasn't like in your face telling you, you have to do, like it wasn't like that to me. It was there, but it was done well enough where all the other stuff, the cinematography, the flamingos that randomly just show up, all of that stuff was so cool.
So well shot, so well directed, really well edited. I like the music. I don't think the soundtrack has come out yet, but Netflix normally does release their soundtracks.
Everybody said they some people go, I love the movie, hate the ending. Some people said they just hated the movie because of the ending. I thought honestly that there was no other way to end it, because if you just ended it with like a depressing everybody dies, at least in this way, everybody's still sort of alive.
I mean, I guess they could have had 10 extra minutes, since it's already long, and just Julia Roberts and Ruth go, okay, we got to go let's go to that house. I think my daughter's there. And then they race to the house, and, Ruth, or Rose, whatever her name is. And then they go downstairs, and they're safe. That's maybe 2 minutes. And then you just cut back to the three guys. And they go to, like you said, they go to the house. They're not there. Let's go find the place with the bunker. And then they go to the bunker. Everybody's nice and happy. Last ending shot is just the door closing, and then it ends. So they could have done that.
They could have done that, but I think the director wanted it to have like a polarizing ending, one that would like piss some people off, and the others would be like, yes, that's the way I would have ended it.
That's why I don't like Rose. That's why I don't, because everything was right there. She breaks into the house, because we see the hole in the door, in the glass of the door, and she finds all the food. She eats all the food, like fucking, like Danny McBride did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the end. And that's another Into the World movie.
Yeah, but that is the greatest introduction to Danny McBride anyone could ever have.
Where he's smoking, and he's
and he's kind of doing the bird thing over the food, and he's kind of twirling with the boots while he's walking. I mean, greatest ever.
And he's smoking with the smoke rings coming out and everything.
Greatest beginning. I don't blame him at all. Plus, he didn't know.
Right.
He had no idea.
Absolutely. And when they told him, he still didn't even believe him.
Yeah.
Rose knew, and
she knew something was up. I call her dumb, but she's not dumb. She was aware of the deer. She was aware of the ship. She was, I'm not going to wait. And she obviously was on a mission to find that final episode. But she could have, okay, I've eaten. I'm good to go. I'm hydrated. Let me go find my parents. Let me go get the other people. And she didn't. Instead, it's like, fuck them. I'm going to watch Friends. And I think that was an hour episode.
Yeah,
So
I think literally she was just trying to. That's all she wanted to do was
it's
fine.
all she cared about because she had that zombie weird look on her face the whole time. Mom,
That
I
was
have to
a
watch Friends. Where is Friends? I need Friends. It's
that
like,
was the great line in the movie where she says, "I love," or she's like, I care too much about this," and the brother looks at her and goes, "Maybe you shouldn't."
exactly.
Your brother was the voice of reason, and he's the one who gets the fucking teeth knocked out of him or whatever, coming out of him,
Yeah,
falling
I
out.
mean,
Poor
he's kind
guy.
of, I mean, he's creepy just by taking the photos, but I mean, I guess
And
that's
then,
typical teenager.
and
But
kind of jacking off to them later,
then
you
he
know.
couldn't even jack off to him. If you notice, he
Yeah, he couldn't
stopped.
finish. Poor
Yeah.
Ricky.
I mean,
No.
it's. I do agree with the brother. Like, I don't know, maybe get a different hobby. It's like do something else. Like,
Yeah.
why are you so obsessed with this? I guess it's only a day.
But then she
Like,
is obsessed with the deer. She gets obsessed with certain things or whatever that,
that's what I'm thinking. Maybe she's autistic. Like she focuses on the
maybe.
ship, she focuses on the deer, she focuses on friends, and she has to go talk to people to kind of like justify her obsession with friends. Which I guess maybe if you criticized it, like the brother did, it would like really hurt her feelings, which is weird.
By the way, Julia Robertson's in Friends.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. So if she's at the very last episode of Friends, what happens when she sees her mom in Friends? Or
Wait,
is that on
is she
purpose?
on the first and last? I don't think Julia Roberts is
She
in the last episode.
No, I'm saying when she's watching the whole series and she
Yeah.
comes across that episode with Chandler, what does
I'm
she think when
surprised
she
she's
sees
not.
her mom in there?
Somebody was giving me this, like, and I'm not going to say who it was, but somebody was talking to me about this movie and said that Matthew Perry just died, right? And then they go and make this movie and all this other stuff, and it's about friends. And I said, I think this movie was shot way before Matthew Perry died, So I
But
don't think
so
this had.
what?
I
What do
think
they
there
have
was
to do
some
with each other?
connection they were trying to put into this, and
Oh,
I'm like,
fuck
I think,
off.
yeah, and I hear that, and I'm just like, I think, like, no, I don't think there's that connection. I think the connection to Friends is Julia Roberts too, like
Which
there's a
could
little
be
bit.
intentional or unintentional since Friends is in the book. It's like
Okay.
it's like yeah, it's not as it is in the movie where she's obsessed with throughout the whole movie. I think it's brought up twice in the book, is what the woman said. Like she's watching Friends and then she doesn't have the internet or anything. And then when she finds the bunker, she sees all the DVDs and there's the Friends box set and she pulls it out and but it's not the ending of the movie. Like she just finds it and it's there. But it
Right.
would be the same thing like what is it? Bridget Jones.
Mm-hmm.
How in the book for Bridget Jones' Diary, it mentions that British actor
Hugh Grant.
Colm, not
Cole.
Hugh
Oh.
Grant, the other
Oh.
guy,
Oh. I know who you're talking about.
the guy who played the stutterer.
It's been
He
a
was
while
like the
since I've seen it.
Col
Bridget
Colm.
Jones. How do you freaking spell Bridget Jones? Bridget Jones.
I was gonna say Cole Meany, but that's definitely not Cole Meany.
Brones Dyer. Colin Firth.
Yes. So he's mentioned in the book that she has a crush on him. She's in love with him.
Hmm.
That's like the guy. And then he ends up in the movie. And I think in the movie they do mention, "Hey, you look like Colin Firth." Like they do comment because of that.
Right.
But so I guess you kind of
It would have been funny if they were like, she was like, "Mom, there's somebody who looked just like you on Friends," you know? You know
that's
what I mean?
too it's too on the nose. As
Well,
a that movie Meet the Millers with with my love, her
Jennifer
uh
Aniston?
no, not Jennifer Aniston,
Wasn't she in that?
Roberts. My God, why am I blanking on Robert's name? Julia Roberts. Come on,
Oh,
help me
Emma
out, man.
Roberts.
Emma Roberts. Thank you. She's in Meet the Millers. I think it's Meet the Millers. And in that there is a scene. It's a blooper where Jennifer Aniston, and it's supposed to be like the fake husband and the fake kids, they turn on the radio to the RV, and it's the theme for Friends.
Oh yeah. Like,
So they're very well aware
remember
of
Urban Legends, they had the bit where what's his name? Joshua Jackson is on the radio or what, it turns on the radio, and it's the theme song from Dawson's Creek, and he quickly turns it off, like they do those things. I mean, Julia Roberts had just been in one episode, and I heard she was dating Matthew Perry at the time or something, or
I
whatever.
wouldn't doubt it, because they did have people come on there. Of course, there's
Yeah.
Courtney Cox and Dewey.
Yeah, yeah. He had a couple bits, and yeah, I love that.
Yeah, then Brad Pitt was on it, and
Brad Pitt was on, and he was married to
Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, at the
So
time. So
yeah. So I mean, it wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised, because a lot of times what happens is these actors will be like, oh man, I put me on the show, even for like a cameo and everything, and they get excited because that's Julia Roberts is a name,
well, like they had on Friends, they had oh my God, why is my memory? God, I
Bruce
hate
Willis.
getting old. Well, Bruce Willis was on there, and he was friends with Matthew Perry.
Oh, he actually had to be on there because of a bet, by the way.
Pretty baby Brooke Shields. So Brooke Shields was on there, and she played an obsessed fan. Joey asked his obsessed fan out, so they go out on a date, and she's like all crazy, and the reviews were so good that she got her own TV show.
Huh. Well,
so that's one reason to be on a hit TV show, is that was kind of Brooke Shields' comeback, and she had like a hit TV show from that. So sometimes
was that Suddenly Susan? Was that the show that she was on?
Yes, because I thought it was called Desperately Seeking Susan. I go, no, that's Madonna. So I think it is. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, Brooke Shields, 1996. Oh God, that was terrible. I hate to say it, that was a bad show. She wasn't bad. The show was just not. I don't remember laughing at all in that. Sitcoms are hard, man. I've tried to write sitcoms. I cannot write sitcoms because you have to write a joke pretty much every 3 lines or something, like there has to be jokes happening all the time, and it is not easy, and so I applaud Friends, even though Friends is now canceled, but I
But it will
still
always
watch
be
it.
in our hearts.
I'll always watch it, and that's the great thing. Somebody said physical media matters, which is kind of fucked up to say, but physical media is our thing. This is what we love.
Netflix is streaming, but what does the daughter go to? An entire wall of physical media.
Well, because the internet's out, and so Netflix is out, so
but
this just goes to show you
of irony there that Netflix is promoting physical media.
Right. And this goes to show you that at the end of the day, if the power goes out, this is why I love having DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever. My power went out when we had a hurricane, so I had to go put on onto my laptop. I wanted to watch a movie, so I wanted to watch Final Destination 2. Put that on. But I can't do it if it's on streaming and I don't have the internet,
Right. Well, and in something like that bunker, most likely it's solar. So you're going to have power even when nobody else has power, because eventually that whole area is going to shut down.
Yeah. Somebody was saying something about how, how did she, how was she able, like, how was the record player able to be on? And I said, well, the electricity wasn't out.
Yeah.
The electricity was still on, and everything.
It just happened. It's going to take a few days. Now it may go out with, bombs being dropped.
Right. At the end of the movie, it might go out because of the bombs being dropped and all that stuff to the power. But,
yeah, because normally it takes a few days.
The girl did kind of get obsessed with like power plants and stuff.
Yeah, right? Yeah. The brother points out, "Why are you so obsessed with power?" Oh no, yeah, the black girl. Yeah, power plants. I think Julia Roberts says it.
Yeah,
yeah.
So like, why are you so obsessed with power plants? And then later, I thought that the nuclear wars was hitting a power plant. I'm not
Well,
sure if that was a power plant or not.
and I know that we're not all perfect, and I guess that she's supposed to still be young, but it's like every power plant that she talked about was wrong. The dad
Yeah.
kept correcting her. Think she's like, yeah, it's like 10 Mile Island. He's like, no, it's 3 Mile Island.
3 Mile Island. Yeah. Yeah. The dad kept correcting her. That was great. You know, I I don't know.
I hope he's a good Blade. I don't. I think he's a good actor. He's a good looking guy. I'm glad that he got 2 Academy Awards. I just don't see him as Blade.
Here's
I I
here's the
just
thing.
don't see it.
Here's an interesting thing that I know of about that because I'm obsessed with Marvel. You know that, and you're not. So you hear certain things, but you don't hear certain things. So uh he was not happy with the script, the original
Right.
script for Blade. It was like 90 pages.
Oh,
This
I know all about Blade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was 90 pages, whatever. Then he said, like, he fired, well, the director left and quit because I think he wanted to direct that script or whatever that they wrote, and uh Mashal Ali was just like, no, not at all, we're not having, because there's no fighting, really, just like two fight scenes, and the rest, I mean, in a Blade movie, like there's
Well,
gotta be.
there's a whole bunch of stories like how he got relegated to the background, and it was supposed to be 3 women, one of them being his daughter, and that so the film's called Blade, but he's in the background.
Right.
And the
So I
daughter's
think
the main
he's
star,
really
which is in
fighting
the comic,
for
but
it to be good and not,
I think
the
he should
stuff.
just skip it. I really do. He's making a lot of movies these days. He's got the awards. He doesn't need this. It's going to be
But
crap. It's Marvel. It's going to be
but
garbage.
even if it's crap, he's still gonna do the best job he can do.
It. I don't think that matters. Why would you want to do a good job in a crap movie? I mean,
I mean, I
everything is getting worse and worse. I mean, the Marvels was the lowest grossing Marvel movie in history. It did worse than
I
Morbius.
think things are gonna change. I have a theory that things are gonna change.
They're reshooting the entire Captain America movie.
And I don't think they're reshooting it. I think they're not the whole thing. They're doing the ending. They're
No,
fixing the ending.
they're doing 6 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks of reshoots. The test audience scores have been awful because it's all political. It's all um, like January 6th stuff, and so they're reshooting for, I think it's 3 to 6 weeks, and they said to the degree that they may have to reshoot the entire movie again because
Well,
that's how bad it is.
if it happens, it happens. I'm not.
I would not. I don't care if Kevin Feige personally came to my front door and said, "John, would you like to direct a Marvel movie?" I would be fuck no. Your name is just going to get massacred over that. That's why I don't want him to do Blade. Don't do Blade. One, I don't think he looks like Blade, but don't do Blade.
Well, because
Just don't.
you only really like know the Wesley Snipes Blade anyway. Like,
I
there's
know the
no.
comic book. I've read the comic book.
I,
I used to collect the comic book.
I know, but like, I think he looks enough like Blade. I think he's
Yeah.
good. I think he'll do a great job. He's a great actor, and this movie really showed like his
Yeah, but
acting
just because
chops. Like,
somebody's a good actor doesn't mean that they can play Batman, or something. It's just you need a particular type to play a character. So it's and I don't know. I just don't want him to do it because I just don't want it to smear his name. Which
yeah,
I
I mean, you're looking out for his image, but I think he knows whether or not, like, if he really felt like it was in bad shape, he'd probably leave the movie, the project and stuff, and but maybe not. I don't know. It's just, I mean, maybe this is what he dreamed of. Maybe when he saw Wesley Snipes in Blade, he was like, "Man, I would love to play a role like that someday." And now he gets to, I mean, how many times have you ever probably said that about something, at some point in your life and go, "Man, Bond was a really cool character. Man, I would love to do something like
not
that."
I wouldn't do Bond now after the last one. No way.
I'm just saying, not
Not what
now,
they're
but
turning
whatever. But
Bond
I'm saying,
into.
like, you've always wanted to, and
I
stuff.
but if it goes to garbage, I wouldn't do it. That's the thing. I don't think you like I am I am hoping that the stuff with Jonathan Majors is not real. I'm hoping that from the video that's now been released, which I watched, and all that, that this is basically an Amber Turd situation. I am really hoping that Disney does not bring him back because
Oh,
that
there
character
was just a news thing.
sucks.
There was just a news thing that they just recast him.
That
They've already
good,
officially recast him.
good
Cast
because
recast Kang as somebody else.
he is a good actor and he's great in Creed 3, which I just rewatched. I just think that Kang is such a shitty character, great in the comic, shitty on screen, that why would you want to continue when you've already been beaten twice? It's such a wimpy character. It's so awful and he sucks in it. He is horrible, but he's a good actor. So
Right.
please don't do Kang. Let them fire you. Let them replace you with somebody else. I heard they also wanted maybe
Problem
do
is
Velvet.
his reputation is already down the hill. He's not gonna get any work.
And so was Johnny Depp's for a little bit until we found out everything. So let's see what happens. I'm hoping
Yeah.
that maybe it's both of them, maybe it's him or maybe it's her, but let's see what happens. The video that they just sent out showed her chasing him on the streets for like 6 blocks. They got it all from like the different cams on the streets and stuff. So it's and then she like went to some party. So what she's talking about may not even be true, but we'll see. My point is, if you're a good actor, I would stay away from shit product. I don't care. Don't do it. Don't do it. This I don't think was shit product. I think this was a good movie, and the actors they got were good. I'd like to know what their pay was. Julia
I,
Roberts is probably a nice little penny.
my big question is, are the Obamas gonna get into the film business now? Is this a thing? Or is this just a like
No,
we want to do this like once
I
and
think they're
that's it?
probably going to branch out. I mean, if the Daily Wire can do it, Ben Shapiro, then why can't the Obamas?
Yeah, I mean, I I'm just hoping that the rest of their movies are like this. Like where it's not so much in your face like propaganda, that that it doesn't pull a Disney on the opposite side, or whatever, or go that far. This was called woke by people who hadn't seen it. People who have seen it probably maybe some would still call it woke. I
I
don't
I
even like
don't.
that term anymore just because it gets
It's a very broad. It's a very on the right. It's a very broad. Well, actually, I think on both sides, it's a very broad thing. But the idea of woke is, I'm now woke to know that there are disenfranchised groups that do not have the same benefits as I do. And that's the whole idea, is I am acknowledging that Black people don't have the same advantages, or they are taken advantage of, or a gay person might, or trans, or whatever it is. Now it's just exploded into something else.
right.
And like I mentioned with the
Absolutely.
with the show, Julia is woke, and it's because of what they did with this one character, which I don't think is right, because I didn't know that. When I started watching the show, I thought, oh, wow, that's interesting. A Black woman was a producer in that time period. And I went, wait a minute. And then I looked it up and found out, oh, it's a lie. So now I have to take the whole show with a grain of salt. I have to take it as, okay, did any of this happen?
Right.
Or is this,
This is all
because
made
you're,
up.
yeah. I mean, there's obviously key things that they talk about that are true, but I don't know. I mean,
Mm.
how much of this is a lie? So it's, but I think if Barack and Michelle Obama, if they stick, with this, I think it'd be okay. But I mean, the left is going to criticize the Daily Wire, and the right is going to criticize this. It's just going to happen, and they're going to go strictly off of trailers, which I did, and I listened to them, and that was my fault. And I'm glad that you recommended this because
Yeah,
I
I
liked it, and I
I don't think
don't
I
think it's
even
woke.
recommended it before actually seeing it. I just saw the preview to it and I said, I was interested in this. This looked kind of cool, and and I had a feeling it was gonna go that way. that this was going to be a polarizing, but like one way, one specific thing, and everything was going to be very in your face and very agendaed, and it it didn't, in my opinion,
I
and
don't think so.
I'm very happy that that happened because I could sit back and actually enjoy a movie for like, her character, Julia Roberts' character being very against people seems like what a lot of people are these days. People are
Oh,
today. They fucking
I
hate people.
I constantly make the joke, and I actually shocked somebody who I never worked with before when I said I'm still waiting for the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs to come back around and just wipe us out. And I actually believe that. I don't think that we're worthy of this
People kept
planet
telling me
that
to
we're
see Don't
destroying.
Look Up, which I haven't seen yet, and that's
I
another Netflix
I
thing.
I liked it, but I don't understand it because the president is Democrat. The president is supposed to be Hillary,
Right.
and I don't understand how I don't. If you have a Democrat in office and an asteroid is aiming towards Earth, I don't think Hillary would just say ignore it. I just don't think a Democrat in office would do that. And so I don't understand why that was done. I could understand if it was a female Republican or just a Republican of just saying, yeah, just ignore it, because they do that with climate change.
Mm.
But I don't get the I get the overall message, but I'm confused about that. I recommend it. It's a good movie.
I'll have to check it
It
out
is
at some point,
preachy.
but I'm
It is
just
preachy.
that's the thing I think that stopped me from originally watching it or whatever. But people today, when I recommended this, well, when I said this movie, they said, "Oh, I loved it. It kind of reminded me of Don't Look Up and stuff and whatnot." And that was a great Netflix. Which
I would disagree with that.
you
So
would say
yeah,
that this was completely different than that. Well, good.
in a way, yeah, because that was also a dark comedy.
Right.
This is not.
This
I
has
would
comedy, but not. It's not meant to like. It's not a comedy. It just happened to have funny bits in it, I think.
yeah, I would compare it more to like Knock at the Cabin.
I gotta watch that one too.
I liked it. I think it's one of M. Night's best films, and I'm not even a big fan of M. Night. I'd put it right up there with
I
stuff
was
like
telling my
Unbreakable.
buddy Vincent, he watched it and he loved it, and I said, so was it anything like old? If
Oh
it's
God,
anything like
no.
old, and he was like, I haven't seen that one. I'll watch that one next. I'm like, good luck, because
No, that
rough.
was awful. Yeah, and Knock at the Cabin, it has a different ending than the book. So it's another one
Once
where
again, yeah, they
it's
decided to change things up because it's more. I like when they do that because one last thing I'll share, and then we'll probably wrap this up. But I have a friend who owns a comic book store, and I'm like, dude, why don't you go see the movies? And he was like, because why would I want to see the movies when I've got the comic books, that are
oh, there
like
you go.
that? Because none of them actually adapt them into the comics. And I said, I don't want to see an adaptation of the comics because I can read the comics alone. Why would I want to see the same thing just on the television screen? It's the same thing with movies. I would rather, in books, novels like Harry Potter, I'd rather see a new twists on Harry Potter than see, well, I guess we're not going to see any of that because J.K. Rowling's a bigot. But
No, HBO is doing the books. Each book is one season.
are they taking her name off of it?
I don't think so, but they are swapping. So the rumor is Hermione is now black. They're these are rumors but that is on HBO's plate, is that each book is a season.
All right. Well, Harry Potter the TV show.
So yeah,
See it
but
soon. I
but
don't.
you're never going to win with any of this stuff. It doesn't matter what side it's on. It doesn't matter what type of movie you make. Look at Doctor Who. Russell T Davies just did for the anniversary episodes. Everything was gay. trans. It was, let's take Davros out of his wheelchair, which isn't a wheelchair, it's a life support system, and now we'll put him on 2 feet. It's all this stuff that he changed, and he's even gay himself. But yet the gay, like, Black community came at him because they said that he didn't do enough with the new gay doctor. That he was
didn't do
still
enough.
that he was still overshadowed by David Tennant. Because it's not a generation, it's a bi generation, which has a couple different meanings. So they pulled them apart. So now there's a David Tennant doctor and a new gay Black doctor. And even though, and they're now getting upset at the close, like when they pulled themselves apart, the gay doctor is just in like a shirt, a tie, and his like tidy whities, because he's supposed to take some of the clothes from Tennant. And they're going, oh, well, David Tennant's fully clothed. Look what you did to the gay doctor. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how woke you make something. It doesn't matter how not woke you make something. You're no matter what you do, it's never
Somebody is never enough for people. Yeah. Oh, that sucks.
It just doesn't matter.
Well,
which is why I'm tending to be more.
That's why everybody should be in the middle. Just fucking, just make movies for entertainment. No, like,
Russell T
seriously.
Davies has now said this is it. This is his agenda. He's pushing it. It's this is it. If you don't like it, you can go screw yourself. And he just lost most of his audience. So
watch when the ratings, don't do well.
Oh, there were 3 specials, and each one, the very first special was the lowest rated David Tennant episode ever. And his were like in like the 10 millions, and now it's like in like the 2 millions. And
isn't it also on Disney?
Disney has now picked it up, which is what they are now financing Doctor Who.
Right.
And they financed these 3 episodes. So
anyway,
that's it. Guess what? So it doesn't matter if you make this movie or whatever. It's just I liked it. I didn't think it was woke. I thought both sides were dicks. Yep. So
and it wasn't white hating like people say. Like there was that one line, but like basically it could have been the other people saying the exact same line, and it would have been the same thing,
Well, I just don't really think that line should have been in the trailer, just like Blue Beetle, just with Batman as a fascist. You then had all these people who criticized the director for that, and then the director went on Twitter or X and said, "Oh, good, I've done my job." Really?
The Blue Beetle guy?
Yeah, the director of the Blue Beetle. He's like, "Oh, I guess I did my job by pissing everybody off."
Oh, I don't know. That's what you want to do.
Why the movie bombed. But because of my experience with this, and knowing that that line was taken out of context, I might check out Blue Beetle to maybe see, okay, maybe that comment was taken out of place. Maybe there was a reason for it. So I'll check it out. But once again, maybe don't put that shit in trailers. Just like in Bros. Don't talk about how straight, people are now extinct. Nobody's going to go see your movie.
Straight people aren't extinct, though.
But that's what it says in the trailer for Bros. It's a group of gay people that were all sitting around a table, and they went, "Oh yeah, straight people had a good run," and nobody went to go see the movies because, okay, I guess you don't want straight people to go see this movie. So we didn't go see it. Well, gay people didn't even go see it. It was the biggest bomb of last year. But
fucking Judd Apatow, man, what happened to him?
Why would you say it in the movie if that's what you want to say, but just keep it out of the trailer?
Right.
I mean, if I have a racist character in a movie and then go, "Oh, I hate all Black people," and put that in the trailer, how many Black people are going to go see the movie? But as far as in the movie, the character says it and then gets punched in the fucking face. And goes down, and maybe they learn a lesson or something, and you don't know, only because that stupid line is in the trailer. So I don't know. I think people should watch this even if they've seen the trailer and don't like it.
Well, if they've been listening to us talk about it, then they've hopefully already seen it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. So yeah, convince your friends to see it. I literally think it's a movie that it's worth talking about and everything, and so much so that somebody deleted me over, unfriended me over the fact that I
Yeah,
posted it.
explain that. What did you say and what did they say?
So what happened was I just posted, you saw the post. It was just literally saying that I was excited about reviewing this movie because I really had a good time watching it and I, can't wait to talk about it kind of thing, right? The guy said, well, do the review tomorrow. Leave my feed alone tonight, right? And I said, well, there's two little buttons up in the top that say, like read less posts like this, right? So if you want to find less posts like talking about this movie, that's what you'll do. And he goes, done. And he had deleted me. That was his thing to it. And I was like, I laughed. I ended up deleting his comment just because I don't like negativity on my
do,
page,
do people not understand how Facebook works? It's not your feed, it's everybody's feed.
Right. And it's your friends on your feed, right? So it's not like you're gonna see your posts, you're gonna see your friends' posts. So if you don't like it, you can unfriend your friends. And I'm happy he did it. I was
Yeah.
laughing about this because, and then somebody else deleted me too. So I have no idea if they deleted me because I bragged about the fact that somebody deleted me. I don't know. Or
Ah,
if somebody, or they deleted me because they were tired of seeing, this movie being, because that's what I think it was the guy who was tired of people posting about this movie, just because everything popular gets posted on Facebook all the time. But like, that's just the way it is. Do you delete people who don't that talk about Taylor Swift all the time? Well, I wouldn't do that because I have friends who like Taylor Swift. Freaking
it
Madeline Deering is a huge she's a Swiftie. Fine, I don't care. Like, be a Swiftie. If I'm not interested in what you're talking about, I'm gonna scroll down more, and stuff, and not give
because
it a
they
like.
don't understand how this works. I had some foreign guy who was talking like frigging Yoda, and he I had a post and he go like feed Y on my and I'm just like, do you and I mess do you understand how Facebook works? Like it isn't on yours. And I just went, oh fuck it. I just deleted him. I
Right.
wasn't even friends with him.
Wait, what?
It, yeah, I wasn't even friends with the guy.
So
He's
how
like,
did you delete him?
no, I deleted his comment
Hmm.
because it's on my post, so I could delete his comment.
But that's weird. Like,
So
why is he talking about his feed or something?
I don't know.
Man, I'm starting to get worried about like Facebook. Are they starting? Because I see like I posted something yesterday or was it today? I think it was today. Somebody had actually sent me a picture that was like blank. So I went to click on it. Don't do this. If somebody sends you a blank picture, do not click on it because it's a
Like spam
hacking.
or something.
It's hacking. So the guy hacked into my thing. So now all of a sudden I was sending that stuff to people. Send it to Dustin Hubbard and Paul got it and a couple other people. I'm like, fuck. So I had to, change my password and do all that fun stuff, right? But I mentioned hacking all of a sudden because it was a public post, about hacking. Everybody was like, all of a sudden I had like 3 or 4 shares on it. And these were from people saying, if you want to stop hackers hacking your Facebook profile, go to this page. And I'm like, get the fuck off my page, dude. I don't know you. And I had somebody on my page that was really rude to me, and I didn't even know him. I don't have him like he was not friends with me on Facebook, right? And everything. And he was just rude on my posts. And I blocked him, over, but he was from like my area. He lived in my area. So yeah, he knew me somehow, or knew of me somehow, and stuff. So I was like, this is weird. people are coming on my posts and shit and fucking starting trouble. Like this is, are we starting to get this stuff happening and like, like the cyber attacking starting to happen already? You know? I don't
I mean,
know.
it could. I mean, if you buy a DVD off of Amazon, then all of a sudden all this movie shit pops up, on Facebook, you
Yeah.
know.
Oh
So
yeah, or you even say it like if I said I love Friends on DVD, my Facebook will hear me through the phone and will all of a sudden put advertisements. I'll send you a screenshot if it
oh
happens.
no, it's happened to me. I've even done that with people. Like I'll be like, oh, I should message back so and so, and then I'll open up my phone, go to message them, and there it is up on top, like the quick, and it's like, okay, that wasn't there before. All
The
of a
quick.
sudden, yeah, it's like one of those like quick, like if you go into to like instant messenger and up on top, it's got like the quick,
Oh,
like you could click on it and then it will just pop up automatically instead of you searching for it.
oh,
And it will be like if I'm just like, oh, I should message Jonathan, I haven't talked to him in 2 days, and you're not up there, all of a sudden you're up there.
it's
And
creepy.
it's like, okay, that's weird.
Um, it's so funny because Mark Zuckerberg wants us to be all in the meta, verse and everything, wants us to be diving deep into that shit, wants us to be all just basically just hanging at home all day with like goggles on, watching the world like that way, and shit. I'm like,
No,
that doesn't sound like any fun, man. I want the real world, man. I don't
no,
want,
because he'll get money.
yeah. Oh, he'll already get money. He gets money every 2 fucking seconds. Motherfucker. Rich guy. All right. Well, we are done. I think. I think we
Yeah.
covered everything.
Do you want to give a rating?
Oh God, did we do that for this?
I don't know.
I
I just
guess. Well,
figured
we'll
why
just,
not?
yeah, fuck it.
Just do
I'm gonna give
the
it
one
a
out of
five
five.
out of five, honestly. I love that. I had such a blast with it. So
I thought it dragged in some spots, so I'm going to go 4.5.
4.5 out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it dragged at all. Like literally, I was
There
invested the
were
whole time.
a few things in the kitchen and living room where I'm like, come on, come on,
No, not me.
come on.
I was
But
I was
it was
enthralled when he starts talking about the guy that he was friends with. He even mentioned that, but the guy that he was friends with that like knew about all this shit about the cabal basically and all that shit. I was just like intrigued, and then they went into the living room to dance and shit. I was like, I'm all into it. Like
see
I'm
that's why I'm almost thinking that maybe this isn't Biden. It might be Trump because there are pictures of him with that orb with those guys, like
maybe
the sheiks in Saudi, and it's an orb, and it's like him and his
you know
wife are there, and they're
it's
all touching
funny.
it.
It's funny because Trump is one of those guys that like he knows everybody, Like he's all his hands are in everybody's cookie jars, and everything. And
Well, he's a mob boss.
yeah, so he's like so I don't think it would be about Biden because I hate to say it, but Biden's just too old and too just
I think
doesn't know what's going on half the
it all
time, I don't
depends on
think.
when the movie takes place.
So I think
I
it's
only think
more.
it.
I think it's definitely more. This is supposed to be like if your thing is right about the government, and everything, it would be more Trump, like I guess or whatever,
Yeah, I'm only thinking it's Biden because they talked about like storming the White House. So I
Yeah,
think
and then they're also yeah.
that would be
Oh well,
MAGA
okay.
and
Well, no. I thought what they were saying was that there was an attack on the White House. I thought that was literally maybe that the attacks were from the other
no,
countries that were
I
invading.
think that's with the cyber attacks and power being out that all of the MAGA people
Mm.
went and stormed the White
I don't
House and the
think that's what
Capitol and
I
all
don't
that.
think. The beautiful thing is I'm not wrong and you're not wrong, because it's up to interpretation. But
It is
but the
without them, yeah. They
yeah,
would have to tell us.
if you ask the director and he gave you like an exact answer of what he thought, that's different. But the idea is they left it up with the saying basically in the White House, the White House is being attacked by foreign whatever things or something. It was very cryptic it didn't literally spell anything out. So you could be right, but I think in my head I'm right. I think it's that even if it were fake, you know, and stuff, and like they're saying, the White House is being attacked and it's actually not being under attack, you know, that could be the thing too. So there's so many decisions of where it could go. It's a choose your own adventure kind of movie. So you just choose your own idea of where, what you
Well,
think
yeah, because
is the
you
thing.
don't even get politically where anybody in this film stands.
Yeah.
You can assume that the black father and daughter would vote for Obama. I'm not Obama. I keep saying Obama, Biden. Well, they
Maybe.
probably voted for Obama too, but but that's assuming because they're black. That's it. But you
And
don't
you can
know. I mean,
assume that Julia Roberts would be Republican, but she did not come off very conservative, you know.
right?
They did not make her like this religious, preachy person like
No,
in The
religion and
Mist
stuff
or
wasn't really
anything.
brought into this or
No,
anything. Because
I
if,
don't.
if she is conservative, then what's Ethan Hawke? Because he's pretty laid back, smoking pot. He's got the Bikini Kill shirt on.
Yeah, I don't
That
think.
seems
Yeah,
pretty liberal to
he was
me.
definitely liberal. So I think it was a very, which maybe that's another thing. Maybe the conservatives don't like the fact that it's pretty much just two liberals,
But
your
I'm
family.
Democrat, and I want the asteroid to hit the world. So
Oh, you're more in the middle too, anyway. So you're
I yeah. I told my friend Jeff, who's very conservative. I said, I don't know, dude. If things keep going the way they are, we might be voting for the same guy. And he goes, we probably will.
oh God. All
Which
right.
I'm hoping I don't. It all depends on who runs.
I don't know. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for this. I enjoyed this conversation with you, John. Always,
I had fun too.
it's funny that I'm glad this wasn't as politically charged as the last one, because that was painful to watch and painful to discuss, because it's such a feminist, nasty movie that's
Oh,
Black
Black Christmas,
Christmas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
But this
God.
was a
Insufferable.
lot more fun and
But we found out
enjoyable.
what a diva cup is. So if anything, 90 minutes of our life was taken away, but we did find out what a diva cup is.
I think you even said you didn't want to know that,
I
and
didn't
then
want to know, and I had to look it up.
you had to look it up, and then you looked it up, and you're like, I wish I
I went,
didn't.
ew, I wish I did. Why do I
Yeah.
need to know this?
Oh Lord, because women need to like tell us that stuff, I guess, so we
Then
know.
don't criticize men when they don't go see your movie about diva cups because we don't want to know these things. Then don't put it in there.
Here you go.
Women, all women know what a diva cup is. I don't need to know what one is. So leave it
Right.
out, and maybe I'll go see your movie.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for checking this out, and join us on Wednesday when we release that Black Christmas movie. All right.
See
Until then,
how
everybody,
that
have a
goes.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.